Hi everyone and welcome to Non-Effort. I always forget how short that stinger is of an intro.
By the time you're done remembering how short it is, we're live. Because it
Especially
always is. Oh God, I forgot how short this is. Only 5 seconds. Boom, we're in.
Haven't done it for a little while and then suddenly it's live, you know. Because all of our other intros to shows are like a minute, 2 minutes long. You know, you have a bit of time. You're like, okay, I'll set the intros rolling. You can prepare yourself mentally. You can tell your players or your guests or your co-hosts.
You can take an emergency shit if you have to.
Yeah, right.
You know.
I mean, you are 57 years old. There's no way you get it done in 2 minutes.
Hey, listen, man.
What? What?
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Just let it percolate. I'm just gonna let it percolate.
Yeah, like your poop. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're Italian. You're just like you olive oil shots. Hi everyone, welcome to Non-Effort. We're doing this for the next 2 weeks before Whack takes us on an adventure. We're going on an adventure, PB. When was the last time we played a game together?
Spellwind, right?
Yeah, it's always Spellwind. The answer is always Spellwind for the combo of all three of us.
I think so. Yeah. I don't. Other than ZBO, I don't think we were in anything else together, were we, Brad?
Just for guests, for
Just for guests, though. But yeah, like I think our only
we rarely get to play together, huh?
Yeah, long form was ZBO and then Spellwind.
Well,
it's decided on my next long run.
Is it about dragons?
Oh my god. You know what, Whack? I'm actually busy. Sorry. Oh, when was
it's
it?
Okay, I'll play your character for you.
Yeah.
It'll just be me going back and forth the way Whack does with 8 different characters.
Yeah.
I'll just play the whole campaign.
I still want the Whack solo campaign.
I think
I
that
almost
I
wish
think
that
would
was
be
what
amazing.
was happening in 2 weeks.
A campaign would be nuts. That
A
would
long
be
form
shot,
campaign,
yeah.
30 episodes, 2.5,
I could do
3
one
hour.
episode, but there's no way like a long form
How much, chat?
campaign. So
How much money?
it would be so much money.
Yeah.
Because it would destroy me. I wouldn't be able to do anything else.
Yeah,
for the
you
rest of the
couldn't
day.
do
Be
anything
annihilated for 2
else,
days. It'd be insane.
Writing a book, yeah. That's
It's
exactly
kind of
what it is.
writing a book, but with
Yeah.
dice, I guess. You know.
And improv.
It's funny for one episode, but by episode 2, everybody's done.
And also, you'd be GMing yourself, so you'd get to be like, that is a, and you just roll a dice here, and then you go like this, you go, that's a 9, and then you as the GM go, no it isn't, it was a 20, you liar. You know, and you're like, well, I'm not lying, and you find out that you actually have been fudging rolls the whole time. You didn't know until that moment, until you became a player in your own campaign, which is watching go insane. Anyway, here we are, Non-Effort. This is our sort of podcast chit-chat show, but we would still like to try and earn some money. So what we do is we have a bunch of different topics and questions that have been submitted on the Discord, and then as we move through the episode and as the bar on that's this side of the screen fills, we unlock those topics and then we shift to them. We don't have to shift to them as soon as it's unlocked, but we will get to them as they unlock. And at the very top there, we have new show trailer. We have a little teaser, a little something.
We did that together. That was awesome.
A little something for the upcoming show. Which you said the name of it, right? Am I crazy? You said it?
Yep.
That's right. It's called Whack Stevens Feet Show.
See, this is why we think you're into feet.
Well, because all I do is
you know?
make the joke that I'm into feet. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like,
Whack Stevens
I don't
Feet
know,
Show.
man.
No, there's a reason, and you'll find out soon enough what the reason is that I currently can't stop thinking about feet. Don't worry about it. You just take your little back pain meds and relax in your little lazy boy and move on from this thought. Cuddle a fucking cutie. So yeah, every tip and every that's it. Can't say the other word. Will go towards the little bar on the left there. Thank you so much, everybody that does contribute, not just to this show, but in general over the weeks. We very much appreciate it. We're looking. We're in a much more comfortable, I think, and safe place to be producing stuff on this channel, which I think is very nice for us all to feel like we have a little more safety and a little more.
That's still I mean, we still need money. We still need money though.
I said a little. Okay, I'm not saying we're flush over here. We're not handing out Lambos yet. But it is. I mean, the problem is it is a consistent thing, which is why we're out here every Friday. Now, no more clubbing on a Friday for us. We work on Friday nights now, so put your glow sticks down. No more MDMA, pumpkinberry.
Oh man.
Oh man.
It is. It's get to work, is what it is. And we also need questions from chat. So one of the unlocks there is a live chat question. So if you have an idea of a topic or a question, something that we can potentially talk about for a little while, you know, a lot of people are like, "What's your favorite color?" And it's like, well, we can answer that in like 1 second, but a more sort of general topic, we could probably waffle about anything. I think if you just said, "What's your favorite color?" we could probably waffle it for a while. But
Well, yeah, because then we can go into the whole discussion about the word favorite and how it instills a mild panic in both you and me. But I don't think whack, like for some reason, categorizing something as a favorite, I have to like be sure that I know that it's actually my favorite.
oh, I struggle.
Like if
with
somebody
favorite
asks me,
anything,
yeah,
I do have a
favorite
favorite
book,
color,
favorite
though, to be
whatever, I'm
fair.
like, oh no, yeah,
Do you-
yours is orange, right?
No. That's
It's not.
no.
What? I mean, Brad's is not orange.
No.
What is it? Blue?
Everyone
Yeah.
thinks orange because
Only
my
psychopaths
previous-
love orange.
My previous channel was called World of the Orange.
Yeah. Well, also your username for a while or something was orange, or I don't know, but yeah,
I
did think
rarely
it was orange.
use orange for stuff. Do you know why? Psychologically, apparently, orange. If you have, orange invokes
Mhm.
anger in people. So if you have like an
Oh.
orange tie on or whatever, you're more likely to. People are more likely to be angry towards you. And
Triggers
Oh.
people out.
if it's
Oh, wow.
blue, like blue, baby
So
blue
glad
kind
that
of
my
color,
entire branding is orange. I love it so much.
I just think it's appropriate.
Pumpkin berry.
Um,
Yeah, because I fill you with rage.
Blue, a baby blue, I think is the one that people
Mhm.
chill out with. Which is why a lot of brands, like the old Twitter logo and stuff, where they made it blue. Something in there, something I don't know. You wouldn't believe I have an advertising.
Cornflower
That's
blue.
so weird because people say the same thing to me too. Like orange would seem like my favorite color because it's like everywhere, but blue is actually
Pumpkin.
my favorite also. Yeah.
You know, well, I have WOTO is
I've got
World
orange
of
cats,
the Orange
I've
is
got-
what that
yeah.
stands for. So people think orange as well. No, it's not orange. It's not blue.
And I don't know what it is.
Are we considering black like I'm gonna say
Yeah,
it
I
is
don't
most likely-
subscribe to all of that. Oh, it's technically just a void of light or whatever.
Yeah, because
If you're that guy, by the way, get the fuck out.
I would
of
just
my
say
pub.
black.
Nope.
All right.
All right.
We failed.
PB,
Mhm.
my guess would be green, but that is. Here's the
It
thing.
is blue.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
boring.
Mm-hmm. Like this kind of blue, like my chair kind of blue.
The only reason I
like
would guess
Pretty blue.
green is because
Mhm.
if you ask a girl their favorite color, 55% chance it's going to be green, and it's just the easiest bet. Lads,
Really?
trust me. Yeah.
Oh.
Which is why Wax Steven's
Mine?
favorite color is probably green.
Purple.
Nope.
Whack.
Cyan.
Oh, I wasn't going to go with
Oh.
cyan.
Full.
Yeah.
Oh, this
He's like,
brings
it's
me
not
joy.
RGB, actually, that I don't...
He just gives you a full hex code.
Cyan,
Mine is
magenta,
purple as well.
yellow.
Mine is specifically, yeah, it's the same hue as the purple on Cloud Strife's soldier uniform in the original. If in doubt,
Amethyst.
Imagine Brad trying to paint a room.
Muted
I'd like to
purple.
go. Do you know the purple from Cloud Strike's
Yeah, get
original
that.
soldier uniform in Final Fantasy
Exact.
VII?
Yeah.
X color. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to
Imagine
ruin
what
that
the look
color.
would be on the
Muted
paint, be on the like interior designer's face. What? Are you-
Purple would be a horrible
One
room
of
color.
those
Do you have a purple
nerds?
room? Surely it's not a nice color. I guess there's worse, but
I think eggplant, so like that deep, rich purple, can look really good. And I thought the same thing as you for a long time. And then I remember seeing like, I don't know, a loud apartment. I watch a lot of like architectural, tiny apartment space things on YouTube because I love that shit. But I remember seeing like this eggplant purple wall and being like, I never would have thought that looks good, but that looks amazing. And they had like gold accents and stuff. People are too smart with their colors.
By
Yeah,
the way,
I
thank you, Pearly Cladipus, for the $10 tip. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
yeah, it's. I don't know what happens on this show with the bar, but whatever it is, the bar will destroy itself somewhere in the first 10 minutes of the show, and I don't know what does it. And the only way for me to fix it is with money.
The only way we can fix this broken bar is with money.
I know why it does it. It loses the little like nodes, little modules, little nodules on the sides.
You have goal
Um,
set?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because we sort of edited the code of it. You know, as soon as you start doing that, this is what messes it up, which is why, you know, it's always a nightmare on the Friday shows. So I don't know, but I think it's accurate. I think it's still accurate. For those of you watching,
We'll get there eventually. We'll figure it out. How's everybody's week been? Fantastic, I see. Great.
Pretty
Great.
good.
I mean,
I
PB
had
is
Physio twice this week.
physically
like, back to
unable
back.
to move still.
Yeah. It was really bad. Have we done a episode where I've done physio. I passed out. It was awful. I nearly vomited the second time.
Nice.
But yesterday was all good. I didn't pass out. I didn't puke. Nothing bad happened. But boy, this morning when I woke up, it was like I couldn't move. It was awful. Ugh. But, you know, apparently that's normal and a sign of progress. So, yay.
Sign of progress. Can't move. It's always good.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Is it TikTok that told you that's a sign of progress? Or the doctor?
no, it's my doctor.
Okay, good.
told me. Well, not the not being able to move, but the feeling it and whatnot does mean that, muscles are building, which is the same when you're doing like lifting and stuff, right? If you're sore or have DOMs or whatever, then it means your muscles are growing, so that's good.
Neither me nor Whack know what.
Delayed onset muscle soreness. It's when you get
Whack's even
sore,
pretending he has muscles.
not the-
Yeah,
it's when you get sore not the next day but the day after, when you like lift or whatever. Which I've always had bad DOMs. Like the next day I'm a little sore, but the day after it's
I think that's just
terrible for me.
being over 35.
Yeah, that's just old pain.
Yeah.
Well, I don't lift anymore. So I think this is when I was like 20 or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
always been that way for me. It is that way for some people, I guess.
DOMS has destroyed so many of my I'm going to go religiously to the gym. It's killed so many of those thoughts. It boggles the mind.
Because like the next day
Absolutely
you go, I'm going to set a new goal. I'm going to do this thing. And then you maybe probably go a little too hard because you're enthusiastic and excited. And then the next day you're like, I can do this. So you do a little more because you're only a tiny bit sore. And then the next day you can't walk and you're like, that was a mistake. And then you fall right off the wagon again.
I watched a video from Terry Crews once, and he was just like, a lot of personal trainers are horrible for people that are trying to go to the gym, like as a new thing, because they're
a lot of personal trainers are horrible.
Yeah.
And then
And
just
they're
leave
gonna-
it.
Yeah, And they're just going to destroy you the first day. And it's like, you can't do that. He was like, one of the things you should do if you're going to decide, like, I'm going to go to the gym religiously, is just go to the gym, see what the machines are that they have. Maybe just like get on a treadmill and walk for a little bit. And that's it on day one.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
it's also just go to the gym. Even if you don't do anything, go sit on your phone, whatever. Just, it's the act of getting up and going that should be the habit first. Which is what I have to do with the pool. Like, for example, today, I mostly just floated in the pool. I didn't even swim because it hurt so bad. I was just like listening to Blade Runner ambience while I'm like floating in this fucking tank. It was great.
anything is better than nothing.
Yep.
That's what I always try to tell myself, where I'm like, I really don't want to walk today, or for whatever reason. And then I try to work myself up to it. It's like, okay, I'll do one lap. And then when I'm out there and I do the first lap, it's like, okay, just do one more.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what'll get you through usually.
Yeah. It was always time for me, because I'll bargain, obviously. But I think if I can go 5 or 10 minutes, then I will agree to do it. If it's like, if it's only 10 minutes, and then once I'm out there, obviously, I don't mind going a little bit longer. But it's how I first started running as well. Because everything you read about, getting to run is always like, do 20 minutes to start. And it's like, bitch, I can't afford to spend 20 minutes on a treadmill doing nothing else productive in my day. Like, my brain's going to die. It's going to overload and die from boredom. I can't handle it. But for some reason, I can convince myself 10 minutes is a fair trade. And then once, once you're doing it for routine, you're like, you know what? I feel great. I'll go for another 10. But man, tricking yourself to do good things is so difficult.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
There's a reason why everybody stops doing these things. It's just because it's so, you get
inconvenient.
It's inconvenient. You get mental fatigue. It's not just physical fatigue, it's mental fatigue too.
That's why I stopped being vegan. I don't know if I ever told you that. Like, just that it was just one day. The first time it happened to me was like, this is going to sound crazy because people are going to be like, oh my gosh, this was so mean of your sister. But I had been vegan for a very long time. We'd lived together for a very long time. And like, it didn't bother me at all. But it was my birthday and she was making bacon. And I came down and I smelled it and I went, I'll have some of that. Because I was just like, that's it. I'm fucking done. I can't do this anymore. And then it was like another 15-year stretch of it. And then just one day I was like, fuck, I just want a burger because I can't find anything on this fucking menu. Like, I'll just take the burger, thanks.
I remember you talking about like eggs. You were just like, I want to just add eggs to my diet.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember you talking about that for a hot minute.
Yeah. And now I can't have them anymore. Did I tell you that? I had a bad egg or something. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but this is going to probably upset some people listening to this. So just trigger warning if food bothers you. But I put a bite of eggs. I cooked them all up. They were like scrambled. I was very excited about it. And then I sat down. This was recently, by the way. This was like 2 months ago. And I went to go bite an egg and it just like...
I saw this on stream, I think.
It was fucking awful. And then I couldn't even finish it. And I never do that. Like, I never spit food out on the plate, but I had to for this. And I was like, what the fuck? And then, it made me violently ill. Just that one mini bite. Ugh. And now I'm afraid of them. I've done that food thing of like, nope, I don't want to, like when people get drunk on one fucking type of booze and then they can't even smell it anymore. Oh,
you've caught no thanks. Arfid.
Yeah, I do that. I had that today while eating my dinner. I took a bite of it and I tasted it. It tasted, I don't know how to describe this. Okay. I do not have the words for this. I chewed it. I could taste it. Yep. And while chewing it and tasting it, I truly believe I imagined that it tasted different for a second.
Uh-huh.
And then carried on and was like, it didn't taste different. But because it did taste different, I was like, I'm not eating the rest of this. I just didn't eat the rest.
Yep.
And it is that easy for me to be like, that's me not eating any of this meal.
Ever again, yeah.
And I'll just, I got something. I was like, well, I'm still hungry.
I feel like that's kind of what happened with me in reverse, where I was like, "Ooh, I didn't like that," and then I think for the first bite, I was like, "Oh, you're imagining it. Stop being dramatic. Eat your fucking eggs. You made them. Like I know exactly what went into the egg. They don't smell bad. You're fine." And then and then the
I
next
get it with
bite, I was like,
chicken
I
is the
can't
worst
finish
one
this,
for me.
bitch.
There's sometimes I'll bite into some chicken and I'm like, that was wrong, so I'm done. I'm out, and I won't eat chicken for weeks.
Isn't chicken like the hardest thing to undercook? Right?
No.
The
I think
hardest
you got to
thing
worry
to
about.
I mean,
undercook?
it
Yeah, I
depends
think you
on
got to
how-
worry more about like pork and stuff, don't you?
No chicken.
Oh, okay.
There's got to be chicken for sure.
Chicken?
Yeah.
Chicken
well,
is
here's the thing. The
brittle.
chicken, it also depends on what you get. If you get chicken breast, it's usually thinner, so it's harder to undercook. So maybe that's
Okay.
what you're thinking about? 'Cause,
I
like,
don't
there's
know. I was vegan for
thin-
16
thin-
years, so
yeah,
just
I mean,
educate
thin-
me on meat. It's fine.
Thin pieces of chicken, thin pieces. So many jokes. Thin pieces of chicken breast. You can generally cook pretty fast, so it's harder to.
I just air fry
undercook
chicken
those.
now. That's what I do. I cut it up, season it,
I
throw it in
made-
the air fryer.
I made grits in my pressure cooker yesterday.
I don't know what that means. I'm from a
They were
different country.
perfect.
What is a grits?
It's
You
hard to
wouldn't be able to have
describe.
them.
Isn't it
Yeah,
close-
oatmeal?
close
like
to
baby
polenta.
food. It's
I
like
don't know what
grainy
polenta
baby
is.
food.
What's polenta?
You've never had polenta, like the Spanish? You never had polenta? It's like peasant food, Brad.
Well, then I probably
It is
it's probably
actually
all
like
I ate.
peasant food.
Polenta.
No, it legitimately
polenta.
is. That's what it came
Uh-huh.
from.
I was like, "Gruel."
Polenta.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the cornmeal.
Oh,
so
you
I'm
know
already
what?
out,
It's
but-
yeah.
You know what? In the Matrix, Mouse, when he's eating that like very, very sloppy, soupy bowl, they
Yeah,
look
yeah, yeah.
kind of like that. Not quite as goopy and gross, but they look kind of like that.
Thank you so much, Anonymous, for the $10 and Jaeger Larson for
Stop
the
talking about food and
$117
grits, peeps.
tip. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
just want to
thank
make
you.
sure we thank them. We haven't.
Yeah,
What?
Southern sludge.
What is the closest thing we have in the UK?
I don't think you do.
Synthetic
think you do.
aminos, vitamins, minerals, everything the body needs, or whatever.
Yeah, everything the body needs. No, it is not everything the body needs. It's basically,
Carbs.
oh, yeah,
Carbs
it's
and
just
butter.
carbs and butter and salt. Yep.
Semolina. What's that? Is that the same thing?
Not really.
All right. Well, never mind then. I'll
I
never
don't think
know.
you
I
have
no
anything
idea.
like it.
I don't think so
I
either.
really don't
if
think
it's
you do either.
corn based, we don't often have
See,
it.
I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
know polenta because you've been to Spain before, right? And that's a
Yeah,
very
but
common dish.
The problem is, I've been to quite a few countries, but actually the ARFID comes with me, so
I'll have a burger.
I'll have a burger, and you better not fuck it up. Yeah, no, I've been to Spain, but I don't know. I think I would normally get like a paella or something, or like tapas type stuff.
Paella?
Paella. A man that went to Spain once, and now he corrects everyone about how you say it.
My dad. Never
He's
mind.
what? He's
My-
Spanish.
I call my dad is. I
Argentinian
argue that
football player.
my dad could be like any three of Italian, Argentinian, or American because he was born in Italy, and he lived in Argentina till he was 16, and then he moved to the U.S. So he's been
Like me.
in each place. Yeah.
Yeah.
For like a good chunk of time. So I try to I don't know how to count him whenever you try to say like where's my dad from? I guess he was born in Italy, but he was only there for a little while.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love it.
Identity crisis for real.
I love doing
Yep.
it so much. Yeah, imagine.
I mean, I don't have to.
And then I found
imagine.
$5.
I lived that also.
Yeah. Let's get on to our first question then. Thanks to Jaeger, Anonymous, and Pearly. I mean, thinks it's the funniest thing she's ever said.
No,
Watching the clip back later on, laughing at her own joke again. The question was submitted over a month ago. And I promised I'd go back and find all the old ones, which I did with the help of Piranha and Keeper. The question is from Milo, who says, how do you as a GM handle shy and dominant player combinations? Or did you ever have to? Is there a good story about that? Now, first of all, can you define what that means for me? One of you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, shy players, that's kind of obvious. You get the players that just are very sort of passive. They,
that's what PB thinks she is, but she isn't.
Yeah,
No,
you're
I was in
not.
Darkfire, wasn't I?
No.
You know, I wasn't passive in Darkfire. I felt like I was.
Just because you're
I
on
mean,
a car.
until I warmed up to you guys,
you
but
were-
it was my first time on one of your shows, Brad. So
Yeah,
I
but
felt like I
you're
was
also on
pretty
a
shy.
cast with John Sandman and Tiger Writer.
yeah, but I knew Tiger. A
Doesn't
little.
matter. There's nothing to do with it.
Oh.
John Sandman is a 9-year-old boy
Yeah, no, okay, hold on though.
made
John
entirely
Sandman-
of sunshine.
Yeah, but he makes it not intimidating.
Yeah, but it's
John
still,
and
he's
John's
still
energy and his excitement
still
made me more calm to
very
be on the
energetic.
show.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it's not about calmness though. Where are you going? What is
Well,
this?
because if you're relaxed and calm
Well,
enough,
John
then
is
you
a
can make
John is a
bolder
level
RP
10.
decisions.
Yeah, but John is a level 10
Yeah,
Outgoing.
maximum energy, right?
yeah.
Tiger Writer
Well,
is
you would argue
level
I'm
10
also that,
maximum
but I'm a
energy.
shy.
I don't think you're level
player.
10. No, you're level. You like.
You don't think so?
No, you hit level 15 for 5 minutes, and then you
Then I
come
go
back
back
down to like a 7 or an 8.
Mm-hmm.
John and Tiger, max. It doesn't matter who you put next to them. They will be
Yeah.
the shy player. You know what I mean? You could bring in any. Think of the most outgoing person you know. Bring them into a room with John and Tiger. They're the shyest person in the room now by default. That's what I mean. So I don't think you were passive at all.
Okay.
I don't think you're a shy passive player whatsoever.
I mean, I feel like it's sort of similar just with cast chemistry in general. I like having a variety in my players because when you have the variety, everybody's got the strengths and weaknesses, and you kind of have overlap. And when you cover each other's strengths and weaknesses, I think you just get a better show overall in general.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about this a long time ago, Whack, where we realized that we both do casting by like MMO categories. Like you need a tank, you need a healer, you need
support.
you need, and then the resident sleeper, the one who will just like turn it on and then go back to, whatever.
My casting math is usually like, I need somebody that is maximum energy. Okay, I need somebody that is like, they're going to show up to the session and it's like, have you had 8 cups of coffee? Like, do we need to call somebody? Like that level of energy. I like to have the person that no matter what they do, they still always make you smile on the show. Like that charisma factor, which is just like, hey, I'm going to do a shitty thing, but I'm going to smile at the end and make everybody else smile because I smiled.
Yeah, okay.
I like to have a really good support person on shows. Somebody that just elevates everybody else and they're not selfish at all. And I also really like having the player that they're having like one rules lawyer on the show.
Yeah.
It's almost like a backup GM, It's like, oh, I fucking forgot about that. I've done so many shows now.
Yeah.
I remember like in the early days when we were doing this stuff and I had only done like 3 different systems or something. I remembered like everything, It was like, my mind was like a steel fucking trap. I was remembering all the rules, but now I've got like 30 to 40 different TTRPGs rolling around in there.
For a while, you were doing 3 shows a week, and like 2 of them were D&D. So you'd have like just that repetition of those rules multiple times, Yep. That makes a difference too.
But yeah, I think balancing shy and dominant players. I think if the question's intent is how do you get the shy players more involved? Is that really what you're getting at with the question? I'm not sure, because I feel like there's like a second question there, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Can you
I
read the
think
question
I
again?
think it's a mix between, how do you encourage the shy player to participate when you've got maybe a dominating presence, or someone who's not afraid, and then when there's silence they just fill that silence, and then you've got another player who won't speak unless it's silent, that kind of thing. How do you mix those dynamics, and then probably kind of the thought process that goes into how you get them to mix well with each other, I guess, or understand.
It's like there's a slight difference as well between like shy and dominant players and then like players who are just hogging the mic and like spotlight and
Yeah.
just and talking over people and being that meme where the crow shouts over the pigeon or whatever.
Yeah.
Because if that's a slightly different situation.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the question, you're fucked. The answer is
Yeah, I don't
I hate that
really-
situation. But
I
if it's
think I've
just
been
shy
pretty-
and dominant players, then it is, yeah.
Yeah.
What you were saying.
I think I've been pretty lucky in that most of the casts that I've had, people will just straight up say, like, I think we did this for Blade Runner, where one of the cast members was like, I can get really excited and keep going. Please just interrupt me if you want to do something or whatever. Or maybe it might have even been Murgles in Deathless. But, the cast will say, like, I will fill the space if there is some. And so please just interrupt me or tap me or whatever, or that kind of thing. Or we'll have people who are just really aware, like, I just had a really long scene, so I'm going to black out my cam.
An
And
experience thing.
yeah. And they just kind of go, all right, I had a scene and now I'm going to step back so that other people can too. But they've been vocal about that too. Like Zeke's really good about that. He's like always aware of the narrative as well as, the scene that he, is in, and space for everyone at the table. So yeah, but
Mega Punch for the $20. Thank you.
Thank you. As far as like, see, because I think this question is twofold. Because Drac is shy in a group of people he doesn't know, but he's not a shy player.
Yeah, he's
So
like not even a
the-
shy person. You
No,
know what I
he's
mean?
not.
Like when you
but
talk to him,
he's
you get that he seems very confident.
yeah, but
as
he's
a human.
when you put him at a table with people he doesn't know, he's very good at like reading the room and bringing the energy level that's there, and that kind of thing. My immediate thought when this question came up was like, how do you deal with a shy and or nervous player in the group? And I do have an example of that, and that is Kingmakers, where I knew that he was probably more nervous than the other group, because the other group had like played together before and knew each other pretty well. And my solution was to literally just cold open with him and not tell him until the day of, which is terrible. But just like shove him out on the stage and go. And then it set the tone for the show, and B, he killed it. He crushed it. I don't think that will work for everyone, but I feel like I knew Drac well enough to know that it would work for him, that he'd be okay with that. And then it would get the nerves and the jitters out, and then he could just have fun.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's kind of where your goal should be. Get the nerves out and let them have fun. What would be fun for them?
Well, I think Keeper
Really good.
has kind of hit on the underlying question, which is that, like, how do you facilitate the players that are shy, so that you can help them maybe come out of their shell? And I've got a few different responses to this.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I think as the GM, not every responsibility falls on your shoulders.
According to every player I've had,
Yeah.
wrong.
yeah. I don't like the way something is going. It's the GM's fault. You have your own responsibility to be your own person and to be responsible for your character's actions and everything. Now, if the GM is providing an environment that you don't really like, that's a different story, and that's a conversation to have with them. But
Yeah.
The GM can't be responsible for every aspect of the game. There has to be talks between the players and the GM and everything to figure out exactly what it is that you want from the game. So if you've got a player that's kind of shy, do they want to be shy? Do they just want to be chill and just barely talk? Is that something they want? Because we're running shows. We're not doing these at our tables, right? This isn't our weekly game that we have at home. There's not really, if somebody wants to be shy, is that a bad thing? You know, like, where are you playing? Are you doing your own show? Because that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, I think the implication, at least the way that I'm taking it, is the player who really wants the D&D experience or potentially even the Tablestory experience, but is shy and nervous in the beginning.
Right.
I think if that's the question, I do have answers to that as well, which is, I don't want to say baby, but that's the first word that comes to mind.
Use baby.
Is like baby them a little bit. And by that, I mean, don't just do like Meyer. If you said, what does this look like, Meyer? Meyer can describe the craziest spell effect that his shit looks like. Not everyone can do that. So as a GM, I would take the approach of like simple questions instead of saying like, well, what does that look like? Sometimes you're going to run into that shy player that doesn't want to describe everything. So you kind of take the reins. And I am always like, I imagine it like this. Correct me, you know, if you think it's different. And then I'll give like a little bit of a description, or you can ask a simple question like, what color do you imagine that your magic is? That's a very easy first answer rather than telling them to describe what the spell looks like. So then you take the color and then you go, okay, and you know, is it like, you know, do you imagine it like water elements, or, you know, is it swirling, or is it like loud, or is it like fire? And then they answer that, and then you can go and describe it for them. And that is little bits of participation that will add up to help them feel a lot more comfortable in describing things in the future, I think.
You also have like situations at home games. I think we had it with oracles, in that we have like lots of players who are like streamers, who are all the center of attention, just like me, you know, just so used to being able to just like chat shit and fill the space and just be constantly like bang on it and talking and talking and talking. And then you have players who are not used to doing that all day because they might have like a regular 9 to 5 where they're sitting in an office or something, and then they come home and they cook their dinner and they sit down and they join this call and everyone is like blah, 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 blah. The way that taking a dick pic, the way that
it's my cat
taking a dick pic,
I'll show you in a second.
The way that I dealt with it with a couple of the players was, for example, Dave. I'm sure he won't mind me just name dropping him. Dave was like, I don't know, like
a spiral for the whole weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just throw him in the deep end. He'll be fine. He was like, I don't know if I can like RP, and I was like, you don't need to. And he was like, what? Yeah. And I was like, you can just describe what you're doing in a completely different way. You don't have to role play out the whole conversation. You can just have your character, you just say what they did, say what they said in the conversation. And he was like, I can do that. And I was like, yeah, don't listen to what all these fucking assholes are doing, trying to get their fucking Emmy. You know, they're all in there trying to get a BAFTA for the greatest role player on a Saturday afternoon. Just say, oh, have your character. He was like, I explained to them that I actually really enjoyed the journey and I would like to keep the sword. And he just does that a lot, you know. He just says the whole thing in one go. It took so much stress off of him and so much pressure off of him. He's a quiet person and he's very smart. He's very like creative, but the way that he expresses that is slightly different. You know what I mean? So like him just being able to just say everything he did rather than having to be like, you know, I approach you and I take you by the hand and I say, I love you and I always will. And then I fall over and bleed out and die. You know, he's like, my character tells, you know, blah, blah, that I love them and then I die. And you're like, okay, And then, like you said, it's a fun place for the DM to come in if you're the type of DM who describes a lot of things. To come in and then describe. You can flesh it out if you'd like to. And really that's a DM's job anyway. You're supposed to be the lens through which people are experiencing everything. So if everyone could not be role playing at the table and you can still describe everything to give it a little more flourish.
And a lot of people will want that, I think. Like, I think you have
It's
to
a
really
conversation.
warm people up to, like, what does your spell look like? Because a lot of players are like,
Yeah.
oh, they're used
Yeah,
to the
you want
GM
that.
doing that,
Yeah.
taking over the narrative. And that's fine. Like, you know, there are times and there are players where you, in my opinion, as a GM, that is like your job. You step up and you describe that for them. But, you know, working them up to the point where they're describing it on their own, or they're comfortable describing it on their own, realizing that it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, they can say, oh, it looks like, you know, it looks like the thing from Naruto. And then you're like, okay, yeah, you know, that's good. It doesn't have to be, you know, Stephen King prose or anything like that.
Yeah. I think it is
yeah.
a bit of a conversation at the beginning. Just, I think it's very useful if you're a player and you say that to your DM and you say, look, I'm not too comfortable with this, or you just explain whatever type of play style you have. And if you don't know because it's your first game or you haven't played much or something, you just sort of go, I think I'll be like this. For example, as a player, I think I'm quite bad at invading the dead air too quickly. And what I've learned is that isn't dead air.
GM.
That isn't dead air
thinking.
sometimes. It's a pause. It's a moment. And also sometimes there are like 3 people who have something important to say or want to say. They're just checking that no one else is going to reach for the mic here.
Yep.
The problem is I'm going to fill that void with waffle because I think no one has anything to say and I can't stand silence for like half a fraction. And my mind moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour, so I can fill it quickly. Some people are like, I'm going to take a beat and then I'm going to, oh, he's already speaking. Oh man, I am so guilty for it in so many ways. I'm the worst. I know I do it a lot. You know, I just can't stop. I come away from every conversation I've ever had with anyone like, well, they hate me. I'm annoying. Every time. But that is a good thing to be aware of, I think, because you can bring it up. What have you only just noticed, Popo?
Yeah.
Too busy taking your own dick pics.
So cute. I know, but did you see him?
Yeah.
See how his head is like in my... He's so cute.
Oh, your cat, right? Yeah. I thought you meant the appearance of Bobo. As a DM though, one of the other things that I do, and this is, not every DM will necessarily have this kind of skill set, is just I'm constantly insight checking everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of that you have to just pay attention to the floor.
I'm hyper aware of every player at the table. Unless we get... I mean, at Oracles, I really just dropped the ball so much with it because there's 1,000 people playing, so it's much, much more difficult. I've fucked up so much on that as a DM, I think, for what is my own rules. But when I only have 4 or 5 people at the table, I am hyper aware of who has said what, how many people have had time, how many this, that, the other. And if I notice that build up, I usually find an excuse for something to happen for that person, just to give them a chance. And then some days people just don't want to. I've been a player and I'm like, man, I'm tired. I actually don't want any scenes. I really hope the others kind of carry this, you know?
Yeah.
And some days you're just like, oh, I'm just not really getting any scenes. And it's for some people, it's fine. For me, I couldn't care less whether I'm the center of the show or not. You know, I will enjoy it regardless. But some people, it feels like a waste of time a little bit. And you might confuse that with like being shy, but actually you just have to kind of be like, the spotlight is on you now. And then you just give them a moment, and it kind of breaks them out of that paralysis a little bit as well. Sometimes some people freeze, or they're just like a bit nervous to RP for the first time in that session or interact. I just set up something. I'll watch and I'll see that 3 of them have had something to go on, and the 4th one I'll be like, a guard appears behind you and taps you on the shoulder. You're away from the others, you know, that kind of thing. If it goes on for multiple sessions, that's when that character gets like a dedicated session all of a sudden. It's like, I feel like you've not had anything to do. It's through no fault of anyone's for a few sessions. This one is so about you. I'm going to have some assassin show up from your backstory, you know, that kind of thing. And I think that can be an interesting way to give, I don't know, it's not necessarily about shy and dominance, but it is about equality a little bit at the table and giving people an equal measure of time without it being on them to be like up their responsibility to get involved and their responsibility to take the mic or their responsibility to break out of their own shyness. You're just like, everyone gets an equal part of this story. And and I can control that because I am God here. You know, I can literally just summon up something that drives the narrative towards that person.
I think too, you can also take it inward. You know, like if you're in the middle of a plot line or something else and you notice that somebody seems like they want to participate but doesn't know how to participate, you can ask the questions like, well, what's your character thinking secretly that we don't, you know, that you're not vocalizing, just so the audience can see. And that kind of gets them, you know, able to, you know, participate in a way that feels, you know, kind of safe. You're going to get players that want to interact or that don't want to interact, but, you know, or it varies by degrees. And my advice to that would be to just, you know, kind of soft trial and error, right? They're at the table. They might not know to tell you that they're shy and that they want to play. It's their first time at the table, so they don't know what to tell you as a player or what good player etiquette is. So in that case, I would just say, you know, maybe start by being like, what does that look like? And then if they struggle with it, you go, because I'm imagining this. Is it, you know, do you think it's red or, you know, like, and then you kind of like guide them into it, or start from the other direction, you know, like softball it, but, you know, and then you learn, right? Just pay attention to how your player is responding to, you know, what you're providing them and adjust if necessary. It's very much like a, you know, improv from your insight checking as well. You're going to have to, you know, pay attention to what people like or what they get excited about. Brad talks about this all the time, about how in Dying Order, he realized way too late that we loved puzzles and that we just like lit up when he provided us a puzzle. It's the same thing, right? Like, you know, find something that the table gets really excited about and then remember that. Go, okay, they really liked working together in this, or they really liked this political when I had an NPC come in and, you know, shit talk somebody, and they all like group together, you know, just, you know, it's insight and it's active awareness as well.
I think that's one of the things that you're really good at, PB, is just being able to kind of like feel stuff out and stay in the moment. I always struggle with that personally, like trying to do both simultaneously while you're GMing and running production and everything else.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many things that we're, you know, so many plates that we're juggling when we're GMing in general. It's just like, oh, we also have to remember like, hey, you know, pay attention to each of the players and like what's going on with them. How can we help them while we're also doing the other stuff?
Yeah. The flip side of that, though, is I can't come up with a visual description of a place or a person the way that you and Brad can, like on the fly. Like that's something that I struggle with. Part of that is because I'm one of those people that when you say an apple, like I'm seeing the idea of an apple. I'm not seeing a photographic apple in my head. So it's really difficult for me to, it's really difficult.
Do you have aphantasia?
Yeah. So I think like, well, it's in degrees, right? But I think that's actually why I had such a hard time with fantasy books when I was younger, is because it would be so hard for me to visualize what the fuck, you know, they were talking about in their description.
You know what that means, right? If you can't like see images in your brain.
I have brain trauma?
No, it means you don't have a soul and the rest of us are real people.
Oh, okay.
I knew it. I was going to be something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be something like that.
The rest of us are real people and
like,
we're in the video game and you're an NPC that is like loaded in, you know. Your data.
Like,
thank you, Anonymous. 3 different Anonymouses, I think, for $100, $20, and $50. Thank you.
Yeah, they can all, those people can all see stuff in their brains.
Yeah, but like I didn't even know that was a thing until you know the internet was talking about it, and somebody was like, "No, I see an apple on a table," and I'm like, "I do too," and they're like, "No, I see the light from the window," and I'm like, "No, I only see a window because you just said there was a window, and now there's like a window." But even then, like I'm not seeing a photograph like the people say that they see. Like that seems insane to me.
I have a 3D photograph of the apple.
What? No way.
Yeah.
No way. I don't.
Can imagine
I have more like a vague idea of an apple on a table.
Basically, is where my brain is at. One of the things that, so here's something, this is going to be a bit of a tangent. And don't worry if you can continue giving us money. All it does is unlock. we don't switch immediately to the thing, so we won't skip any of the tiers of questions. So we're just going to move on to them naturally as we get to it. So thank you for your tips. But because I think some people get a little stun locked. They're like, oh, I don't want to move on too far. One of the things. So here we go. Right. With side quest, I've been doing something a little different, which is that I'm trying not to describe, but mostly the NPCs with too much detail. Yeah. Because I want you to think it. This is my. This is where my brain is at.
Sometimes.
I don't want to tell you how they look. I will generally give an idea for the most part. I think mostly I'll just be like, this is a god, and I'll probably give them some form of gender. I'll be like he, she, they, and then I'll give an idea of the species if it's D&D. So if it's like an orc, or if it's a human, or if a tabaxi or something. And then I'll say something like, maybe they're dressed in robes, or maybe they have armor on. But I try not to go too hard in the paint in any other descriptors. That way you can assign pretty much anything to them that you want beyond that. If it makes sense for the scene, I'm like, they're enormous, they're huge, they're muscular, they've got a thick beard, they look like a pirate. But if I'm just like, this is a general NPC, I'll try and keep it as vague as possible to try and allow you to project whatever you want on it. That way you can just push onto them how you want them to appear. Maybe they look like you, maybe they look like your best friend, maybe they look like whatever, race, gender you want them to, whatever your idea of this person can be, you can put it on them. Because I don't give a shit. I kind of don't, it doesn't matter to me most of the time how this NPC looks to my players or to people who might be watching. But here's a problem. If you have aphantasia or whatever, am I just fucking you over? Are you just getting half a show?
One of the things that I really enjoyed about Darkfire was how descriptive you got with everything, with everyone. You would describe their hair, their eyes, their ears, and I was like, okay, I kind of have an idea for this person. But even you describing that, again, it's the idea of a person. So for me, sometimes, again, it's really difficult for me to imagine a place or a person and then describe that on the fly. So it's helped. Part of my GM prep is going, okay, let's go look at castles or something, grab a couple images to put, and then I pull that up and describe what I'm looking at, because I'm not going to be able to pull it up at the last minute.
I can do it both ways. I can imagine a castle and I can sort of describe it, or I can look at an image that I've prepared, because I will do that as well. I'll find stuff, places, big Gothic German castles or something, and describe one. But
I can describe stuff on the fly, but it's never going to be as detailed as I feel like someone who's imagining a photograph. I did the Lucky Rabbit on the fly a little bit because I had just never imagined what the building was going to look like, and I think they came into it too early. And so at the time I was like, well, I know it's kind of shabby and run down and bigger on the inside, all that kind of stuff. But I'm using words like that. I'm not describing the details
view
down.
Of what it looks like, by the way.
You do?
In my brain.
Photographic?
What? Yeah. Whenever I first heard the description of the Lucky Rabbit.
Oh.
That's what I mean. I see a version of it in my head. Mm-hmm. Don't you think it'd be amazing if we could just project that onto the screen and we all go, okay, project yours in 3, 2, 1, and then two of them appear from me and Whack, and then there's just like a weird drawing of a horse.
It's just like
why is that there? And you're like, I can't control my brain. But yeah, that's interesting because with places, I still try and give a descriptor. Especially, one of the reasons is if I describe a place one way and then they go back there and I made it up, I've forgotten. Yeah, it's gone, because they might go back the next week and I might remember. If
you
it's
don't
2
write
weeks,
it
3
down
weeks,
after.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I don't, it's gone.
Yeah. If I describe something on the fly, I literally have to immediately after that scene, I gotta fucking write that shit down.
Do it as
or
well.
It's gone.
But what I mean is, generally with places, I will do my best to pre-prep as many of them as I can. For most places, I'll give myself a paragraph of just this is what it looks like. This is the description of this building. This is the description of this building. Sometimes I'll just prep a generic building. I'll just be like,
Yeah.
this is here for when I need it. And they're like, we go to this place. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's a
Cool. I have
spiral
something. Yeah,
tower
that's really
with
good.
white stone,
Yep.
and I'm just like, that's
really
what
good.
this place is now, I guess.
Or
But
like,
people have stopped doing it as much. Maybe
yeah.
well,
I think some techniques too are like when the players start to talk about something like they're going to go somewhere. Again, I don't know if this is possible for a new GM to do, so maybe don't try this until you've done a little bit. But where you're actively listening to what the players are doing and they're going here, so now I'm going to write a quick description. I do that on Deathless all the time. Like the shit that I'll say at the end of the episode, I have written probably during that episode while they're doing something else because I didn't know they were going to go there.
it
And I know
be
I'm not going to be able to describe something on the fly. Like Jay was really good at that. Jay was so good at that.
If you just had a camera on full screen me the whole session, I spend most of the session doing this. And I'm typing away, and I'm like prepping this, and I'm getting an image over here, and I'm saving that, and I'm trying to find this other folder that I saved this thing in, and where's this and where's that? Like I'm just all over the place the whole time, adding little notes, bullshit. I've got all this crap, like writing stuff down on pieces of paper the whole session, and then at the end of it, there's like a point where I just have to collate everything into coherent notes that will make sense to me in 6 months. It is bizarre. It's bizarre, but if I don't do it, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
It's gone forever. Like I can't come back to it. It's really hard with like side quests because it's sandboxy. It's my toughest
and
boss so far.
A world where we're all working on it.
We're all sharing
so that
it.
makes it that makes it kind of like, ooh, did somebody mention this? Or
I have like the thing is
whatever.
I have our official code documents, and then I have my fucking shit pit over here of chaos. That some of it I can pull out and put into this document. And I will do eventually, but is just random shit. Like they found a fishmonger and they fucking stabbed him in the foot.
I
His
imagine
name was
that our
Barry.
shit pits would be very similar, Brad. But we're also like, no one can see my shit pit. We're like a dragon hoarder. Like, no.
Yeah.
Let me clean this up a bit before you read it.
Never, It'd be so embarrassing. I'd literally rather you just walk in, catch me masturbating to foot porn, naked. I'm completely naked. I'm surrounded by pictures of feet everywhere. Just fucking, and I'm in a psychotic like room with just feet things everywhere. I'm completely naked. There's there's something up my arse.
where your aphantasia is an advantage.
I have got all these. I've got all these fucking things going on, and you walk in and you're just like, oh yeah, did you want to? And you say, I would rather that than you get 5 minutes in my shit pit document. I'm not kidding. That is how much I guard that shit.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I'm somewhat
It's much
the same
more
way.
precious
I think
to me.
I did actually send you what was it? It was for Kingmakers.
Brain dump.
It was a brain dump of how magic worked because I had to send that to you.
Remember,
And it was like physics and shit.
Yeah, it was
but
insane.
it's like I write that. That's how I write to myself. Where I'm like, imagine this and the blah blah blah, and I'm like talking to myself. That's a lot of my brain dump
falling into
is like that
maelstrom of
yeah.
It was like
or I'll
getting
even type out like, I wonder if they go to this place, and then continue my thought.
a pure
doing something
undiluted
else.
PB thought
Yep.
just directly beamed into your brain. You're like you just go crazy immediately. Your eyes start bleeding. Yeah, no,
I do remember you saying something like, "This is fucking insane," and I'm not reading this, or like, "This is 4 or 5
here's the other
pages
thing,
long."
though.
Are you insane?
The flip to the description thing
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
is that some people get fucking bored listening to a description that's too long. If you're just rolling off just so much, like I actually got sick of describing things in so much detail. Because
did I ever show you guys the
Are you ready?
Oh god.
Yeah, sorry. You go ahead first, Wack.
Did I show you the witchcraft and wizardry shit?
It's the most insane
Yeah,
thing
dude.
I've ever seen.
No.
That was
Does
just the
chat
table.
know about your
No, that's not shit pit
spreadsheet?
though. That's not shit pit. That's a spreadsheet. That's
in
I'm not
crazy.
talking
Yeah.
about that. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the document.
no, I've never seen it.
No. Okay, so I'm guessing mine is a million times more organized than both of yours. Let me see.
No doubt.
Yeah,
about it.
The way you're
for sure.
describing it is like, I'm just like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
this
have like
is
Untitled 1, Untitled 3
No.
in all my notes.
Oh, that's
yeah, it's
all right.
bad.
This is about as shit pit as I get. I put this in the Don't Die channel. So this is the original Witchcraft and Wizardry document.
It's color coded.
Bitch has highlighted colors. There's no way. You have underlines and tiers and bullet points. No, dude. My
links,
shit. This
bullet
is as shit pit as you get.
That's as shit pit as I get.
This is like, I'm going to organize this for print.
Yeah, no, this is...
I wouldn't even send you guys something like this. What? This is crazy.
Now, it's been revised a bunch of times, but yeah, that's it.
No, this is fucking...
No, dude. You've got resources for them, too, and no. No. I would never dream of having anything this organized.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely... I don't... The thing is, like, how... You can't be doing that during the session, though. You must come back in and make it look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're...
Oh, no. Because he's one of those people that once he's got the framework and he's in the middle of something, he will hit Control F and look for where and then fill it in the right spot. He's like Marie Kondo live. Like, put it in its place. It goes in the character section. And I'm just like, quick, where's a blank document?
Anywhere, the nearest blank thing to me. I'll write it on my hands and shit.
I will never find it again. That's the problem.
This is what I mean. I have to come back in at the end and make it vaguely organized.
It's lost forever if I do that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I have done that, just to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I have done that.
I will do episode titles. And for some reason, my brain can go, oh, I think that happened around this. And that will help me find it. But I really
can vaguely
shouldn't do that because it's difficult. I spend so much time looking for shit that I've already written down that I know I put somewhere. Yeah.
Side quest I had to do very differently, to be fair. Because I knew that other people were going to be seeing it. So not just seeing it, but like using it. So I was like,
my mentality is exactly what you just said. Is like So I've done so many different things where I've had to work with teams and like share my notes and shit. And it started like I want to say, I mean, you have to do school projects and shit, but I mean, when I started my own business after college, and I had to share with a team for the first time, and they were horrible. Anything I got from them, I was like, guys, what the fuck is this? You know, it would just be like, I got to where is the layer for this in Photoshop? You know, nothing was named. None of the layers were named in Photoshop. No folders. No folders. He's like,
Chaos Shop.
He was just like, dude, just click on the tool that you just click on the thing that you want. I'm like, no, we've got 87 layers, bro. That's not going to work.
It doesn't work after a while, and it is horrific.
It doesn't.
One of my favorite memes of all time is that D&D alignment grid, but it's the way people use Photoshop layers. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Mine was like chaotic evil. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm chaotic evil for sure.
The worst.
I also never learned properly. I just taught myself. So I remember learning about masks for the first time.
Yeah.
Whack taught me that. He's like, you don't use a mask? And I'm like, a what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Jennifer Lawrence moment of like, what? My life could be easier? What?
All right.
Meanwhile, look at these notes. I found them. It's literally titled in bold, 1/3 of Brad's insane requested lore dump that will end our friendship. And then it goes this, and then this is where it starts. There's a list of like top major mysteries of physics, and they are 1, dark energy, 2, dark matter, 3, times arrow, 4, parallel universes, and 5, the fate of the universe, and 6, quantum entanglement, 7, entropy chaos. And then
she
I just go.
By the way, she sent me. I'm pretty sure you sent me the magic document. This is how magic works, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also just linked me like a NASA study on entropy, and was like, it's basically this. That's the thing. You're just saying it like you handed me this document. You gave me a second thing. I don't know if it was at the exact same time, but it was like in that week of you trying to get it to me. You were like, it's this as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who do you think you're talking to? I can't read this.
Well, that's why I then went and wrote this, I think, because I break it down. I'm like, dark energy. We know these things, Brad. Gravity pulls things towards itself. A black hole has an extreme force of gravity that pulls everything
confused,
toward it.
Bear in mind.
And yeah. And
She's
then
like,
I
I
just like,
simplified it for you. And I'm like, oh, you don't understand. You know,
You simplified it for a college
diagrams,
student.
dude.
I need it as kindergarten.
I need it like a dog. You need to just explain this in dog terms because compared to you, she has the Goku Gohan thing with where you assume I'm as intelligent as you are a lot of the time, and you're just like, it's just this, and I'm like, oh, okay. If you say so. Like, what the hell? What do you? You know pi. It's just pi times 50, and I'm like, what? I eat pie.
You know pie.
And it's the thing in Dragon Ball Z where
like
Goku is like, why don't you just beat the guy? You know, Gohan's like, why don't you just beat the guy, Dad? And Goku's like, oh, you're comparing me to you now. You're stronger than I am. And he's like, what? That is PB all the time. We have another question we got to get to. And if we don't bloody get to it, we'll be here all bloody night. Bat Blinder, which is evil, by the way. They're already blind. No need. Bat Blinders out there says, what do you do if you don't have any maps or can't use them? And I also thought that we could
hope you don't have PB in your game who can't visualize anything.
Yeah, you're screwed. I think we can also extend that to just like tools, you know, DM tools, GM tools. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like this is an open shut case. You just describe it. You don't need a map. You don't actually need a map. We use maps a lot, especially I think it's much easier for more like crunchy games like D&D, Lancer and shit.
Yeah.
But ultimately for me, if I don't have a map, there isn't a map. You know, I just say, you know, they're running at you with knives. What do you do? You know,
yeah.
You know, how far away are they? And you tell them they're 15 feet. Okay, well, they're in range of this. I'm going to move 10 feet towards them and stab them. And you just do a theater of the mind. Surely the answer is...
back. I got to feed Boo Boo. I'll be right back.
He's going to prepare a map. I like maps. And I'm... again, with side quests, I'm trying to have a bit of a mental shift and do some stuff a little differently than I would normally and traditionally sort of fall back on. But I mean, I have battle maps all the time. But ultimately, I think the answer is simply the only thing you can do is to rely on your descriptions, and you just theater of the mind the whole thing.
I do think when you're doing more theater of the mind and you're not providing maps and things like that, then it is easier to collaborate at that point when you're like, what do you think you see? Because the thing is if you do have a player like me, or if you do have players that are having a hard time visualizing, when you have the whole table being like, oh, and I think he's got red hair and blah, 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 where, you know, I'm imagining a lot of trees and mountains, and then you can participate. And like, it just kind of helps get you invested in the world if you can't see it, if you don't have a lot of maps and stuff like that. It'll help with that investment factor.
I don't know if I've ever seen you use maps until Don't Die. Battle maps.
Yeah, I've used a battle map in Deathless.
That's true. I've seen it in Deathless once, maybe.
I've used some map. I used a map in Nocturne for the house when they were at that house. I had a floor plan mapped out. But some of that is because I know there's going to be combat. Like if I know there's going to be heavy combat, I want to provide a map, because for me, when I'm in combat and somebody says I go to the left, I cannot visualize where everyone is unless I see
really
it.
struggle with it as well. That's why I prefer to have battle maps for that, even though I do think one of the things it does is slows down the whole thing. Everything slows down. I wish, you know, with a lot of things,
I use maps in Blade Runner 2, you're right, yeah. But again, it's really only when there's combat. Then I am like, okay, we need a map, because I struggle with that too. And sometimes combat comes up and I wasn't expecting it, and I just have to go without the map. But in which case I just take notes and try to keep an eye on where everybody is. But I think having a map and this is just a random thought. I don't actually know if I believe this. I'm just thinking my thought out loud. I think having a map when you're not in combat makes it feel more board gamey to me, and doesn't make me feel as in character as when I sit around the table and you describe to me a tavern. The only exception for that is the Oracle's Rest Tavern. When you put the tavern down, and that was like our return save point where we would go back and we'd be like, I'm sitting here and there. That really helped me kind of visualize what that tavern looked like. Otherwise, I'm sure my brain just has basic bitch templates for places. So when you say tavern, I'm imagining the same tavern every single time until you adjusted that image that idea of an image in my head.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with it is, I think as a player, I'm a 50-50 guy at my core.
Yeah.
I like, if my perfect session is 50% roleplay, 50% combat for most things, you know, there are certain systems where that would be insane to do constantly, but in general, that's my ideal game to play.
Yeah.
As a GM, it changes a little, and as a GM of a show, it changes a lot. And
I think I agree with that, except for me, it's not necessarily combat; it's engagement. Because you can give me a puzzle.
Yeah,
if you give me a mystery or something to chew on, I'm fine with that. Yeah, any kind of encounter.
An encounter is what I do in my head. I'm like, there's a breakup of the thing. Here's the thing, though. As a viewer, I honestly don't really give too much of a fuck about combat.
I do sometimes.
Unless it's very high stakes.
Yeah. Like, I would say most of the fights in Mistlight, I was like, Jesus, like, I have to put this on my TV and sit down and fucking, because they could die any second.
Trying to kill him. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah.
But
but they were also really creative about how they
had some really fun things they did.
Yeah. And also, Disney would just do whatever. And it was like, whoa.
Just do whatever the fuck. And yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, because I think some people really enjoy. I think this is where a pretty hard split happens for viewers. Some people really enjoy watching a combat and seeing how the players maneuver around a map, where they're going to position and stuff like that. And some people are like, I don't give a fuck. And if you're an audio listener and you don't have the visual, and we're just saying, I move here, I move there.
Yeah,
and there are some days where I'm like, I'm really watching the clock, so I'm not being as descriptive. If I really took my time, I would describe everything. Like, I'd be like, you run forward, you feel the mud on the bottom of your greaves, slowing your movement, but as you bring yourself to a stop, you slip a little bit, bringing yourself down. They rolled a 3. You know, the mud actually causes you to slip. You bring your shoulder in using your own pauldron to try and push them off of you. That way they don't actually get a counter attack on you, but you don't get your attack off successfully. You have to use your sword to balance yourself and stand back up. You know, like using that, that's like a book. If I could describe every combat like that, I would, and it would probably.
You do sometimes.
I do,
like,
but
you did a lot for Darkfire. I remember that.
What I'm hearing is I've massively gone downhill since Darkfire.
No.
That's all I'm going to take away from it. Sorry.
No.
Sorry, it's all I'm going to take away from
it.
There is nothing you can say. I'm taking this entire session as a player, criticism I remember of my current campaigns versus campaigns I ran 6 years ago. No, I did, but again,
I wasn't in the recent ones, Star Wars, but I was.
That was shit.
On another planet. No.
I'm picking up on what you're putting down.
In the world
it's
of
fine.
Star Wars.
No, it's all good. I'll quit. Fuck it. I'll quit. No, here is the problem. I do actually think that I've changed as a GM, and I'm not a big fan of it either. I'm not actually a big fan of some of the elements of it, which is why I wanted to do side quests the way I did and take myself back to GM school and reteach myself some of the more orthodox ways of play. And some of that is being a bit more descriptive in those things. Now, the problem is I've become too much of a producer-director. This is the issue. And I start looking at the time and I go, I think this combat isn't going to be done. Like, we got to get out of here. Our shows for Darkfire and Thingy were like 3-4 hours long.
3 hours long. Yeah. Oy.
Now my shows run 2.5 hours. So
Yeah.
in order to get a combat in, really most of the time I need to be. It probably needs to happen pretty quick for it to sit comfortably in the thing. A lot of the time that doesn't happen. So I'm like, well, I've got 45 minutes to get them through an entire combat. That's like, even at low levels, 45 minutes is not a huge amount of time.
Make them wait a week.
I can't
Stop 'em
do
right
that.
in the
I
middle of
hate it
combat.
so much. I'd really, really try not to do that. If I know that's going to happen, I commit to it, fine. But I really try not to, because I think it's really hard to actually stop halfway through a combat. I think most of the time you end up, there's 3 turns left, but you're like, those 3 turns are 20 minutes, which is significant. Whack will just go straight 20 minutes. He doesn't give a fuck. His shows will run 2.5 hours late. He doesn't give a shit about anyone or anyone else. Me, I have OCD, and I'm like, if we don't get out here 30 seconds before the call time, I am going to, all my family will die. All my family will explode all of a sudden for no reason. And so I get like in my head about it, and then I'm like, and then I'm rushing through the combat. So I start doing okay, you move over to here, you attack him, you get, that does 10, that does 50, and then you go over here, okay, your AC is 13, shit, okay, that doesn't hit, fuck, please hit, please fucking hit, can you stop? Why can't you guys hit anything? Jesus Christ. They're dead, they explode. Thanks for watching, bye. You know, that's the problem I get in my head with that. And then I reduce the descriptive elements. So I'm thinking about predominantly audio listeners, such as Bat Blinder, who is blind.
I was just going to say, you bring up a really good point by saying when you don't have a battle map to look at, it stops the players from going, I move here, I move there.
Yeah.
They instead say, wait, is he behind me? They'll ask you clarifying questions that the listener is also probably asking.
I remember a combat from Cura really, really well, because it was the only combat we did in the entire campaign that was Theatre of the Mind. And it was because we didn't have enough time for me to fit it in. And they suddenly got very aggro with these 2 like elves who it was revealed they were like bad guys. And I went, I was like, do you guys just want to... We started it in a Theatre of the Mind. That's what happened. We started it, and I was like, I don't think we need a battle map, because they're kind of doing stuff. I was like, I'm not going to bring them in and make them do an initiative. And it becomes... Then you draw a line in the sand, and you're like, now it is combat. I wanted it to still feel like there was a chance for them to talk their way out of it, or potentially go, look, we actually don't want to fight you. We're just, we got a little aggro there. So I was like, I'll just Theatre of the Mind it for a second. And then I went, do you guys just want to stay in the Theatre of the Mind? We'll play this out like this. And in the back of my head, I was like, this will be much quicker. And it was. And it ended up being a much more descriptive thing. The only problem with that is that you will sometimes get bogged down in how far away am I from this guy? How many of them are there? And then you're like...
I was just going to say, for D&D, that's pretty tricky.
You get caught up in, there was actually 2 next to you. Did I not describe that well enough? Or did I not mention that? Or did you not pick up on that? And so actually they have pack tactics. And then the player's like, well, I wouldn't have done this. If you have a map...
There is a lot more of I wouldn't have done this and had I been visualizing the same thing.
And that's a big problem, because that's how like players die, or players get injured, and players get salty, and then they're like, well, I wouldn't have died if you hadn't you didn't describe that. And
pretty
then you're like,
system dependent, right? Like VTM, you don't need a map so much.
No.
Like the PBU system doesn't really need a map too much either, unless you maybe have multiple things happen. But I guess you just need a list of who's in the turn, right? But with D&D, I feel like that's really tricky, because it is 5 feet dependent, or touch.
And it's a pretty heavy combat system.
It's designed around it,
Yeah, it's designed around combat. I mean, a lot of these systems are designed with a board game element in mind, right? Like they, and a lot of players approach the games that way. You're in the minority.
When you're thinking of system stuff, you don't start with combat, or do you?
You mean in deciding the system?
No. Like if you were to build a system, do you start with combat, or do you start somewhere else?
Oh, probably not. I don't think I do start with combat.
I started with combat for mine, even though I wouldn't like by the end of it, I hope that it's not considered a combat heavy system. Right. But I was like, well, I have to make sure combat's tight, because the rest of it I know I can do. But
yeah, when I designed Witchcraft and Wizardry, I really liked Powered by the Apocalypse, but the main reason I did it was based around the idea of the traits for the characters. That was my first thought.
Yeah.
I remember when I told you guys what I was planning on doing. I'm like, guys, I think I came up with like a really spot on idea for this. And I was like, does this make sense to you?
It was so spot on that people on YouTube still think it's like a legit system that is paying JK.
Yeah.
You know, they give you a hard time about running a show in a system you wrote. You know, like, yeah, it's Harry Potter, but like she doesn't see a cent of that. So crazy. But it's so immersive that it feels like it is. Whack. It was really good.
Well, thank you. But like I definitely did not. I wasn't thinking about the combat at all. I was more concerned with, does this feel like the thing that I want it to be? Does that make sense? It was more just along the lines of like, I'm envisioning this. Does this feel like it gels? And then I thought about more of the details. The Isekai game that I was working on, that I definitely didn't think about combat first in that either. I think with that one, I was also trying to think of the foundation before I thought about anything else. What is the basic role before anything else? More than
I guess I think about that too. Like, what do I want to use? Percentiles, D6, you know, whatever. Okay, cool. And then what's the vibe I want? Okay, I want it to be fast. Okay, but then I'm like, I started working on combat almost right away.
Thank you, Anonymous, for $150 and another Anonymous for another $100. Thank you.
Yeah, you've unlocked another question and we'll jump into it. I mean, we'll sum up this one. Do you have anything to add, Whack? What do you do if you don't have any maps or can't use them? Is there any other
so thoughts? I remember, when I started doing TTRPG stuff, it was originally with Pathfinder. And I think when I first started, I couldn't envision it Theater of the Mind. I had heard shows done Theater of the Mind. I watched shows done Theater of the Mind, and it was like, it was way easier for me when people added maps. So I didn't really think a lot about the Theater of the Mind stuff. That seemed like inferior in my head, you know, just one of those initial responses. And I listened to Penny Arcade, podcast for Acquisitions Incorporated, and they did everything Theater of the Mind. It was a podcast.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I thought that was cool, but I'm like, man, it would be really cool if I could do this with the map and blah, blah, blah. I was already thinking production back then.
Yeah.
So I think now, I totally understand what you're saying with like, it's easier to do some things and it's harder to do other things when you do the Theater of the Mind. I think in terms of an ideal situation, you know what I would love? If I had an unlimited budget, okay, for any show.
You heard him, Chad. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
yeah.
joking. Jesus Christ.
Peevy's got to put a disclaimer on before she has a fucking
I can't
ulcer.
make jokes without disclaimers, man.
Yeah.
Please don't give us money, but also please give us money.
If in a perfect world, if you had an unlimited budget, what I would love is, like, you know how with subtitles or like on Netflix or anything like that, you've got like a bunch of different options. You can like turn stuff on. Like, I want to turn the director commentary on or any of that stuff. Yeah. I would love to just have options for people to like turn on and off. And it would just be like an audio description of everything that's happening visually. So, you know, hire somebody that's like, and now, you know, Rue has moved close to the enemy and she's within 5 feet. And, you know, stuff like that. Like, I'd love that. That would
like
be
an abridged version of your shows, but abridging the combat.
I'd like to be able to do that as a GM sometimes, but it's one of those things that falls by the wayside when either the session's going long or production is happening, because I was doing that a little bit in Gone in the beginning. When I noticed somebody would do something physically in the space, I would then describe it. I would narrate it, and then, but that's fucking hard to do, because you also don't want to interrupt the scene either for the players. So yeah, that's a tricky one. That's really tricky.
Yeah. If I had unlimited budget, everything would have to be theatre of the mind for you guys, because I wouldn't be here. I'd be in Barbados. So you can figure it out yourself.
Brad pretending like he wouldn't get bored within a month. He's done with all the vacation shit. Like, he's like, when are we playing D&D?
I don't know about that, actually. Well, yeah, but I think that's all it would be. His vacation would be like chilling, reading, maybe writing, and fucking playing D&D.
I mean, I just,
video games,
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't need to be on a camera anymore. So the problem is that with an unlimited budget, I would just run D&D for my friends quietly from a hut in Barbados.
Yeah. It's a fair thing. Sometimes I feel like, though, when because of the nature of what we do, we have gotten so much better than when we first started, right? And that's only because we have kind of had to. It's not quite a necessity, but it's close, right?
Yeah.
It's like we want to grow because we want to do better, so that we can get more people to watch our content, so we can survive doing this, So I feel like we've gotten better because of it. So if we just did everything offline, it wouldn't be nearly as impressive as what we do here.
Yeah,
it's
you'd probably. I mean, that's everything, I think, probably, isn't it? You just fall into routine.
I think in my experience, because I did a lot of different types of photography in my career, which was before I was streaming, and a little bit into streaming. But I remember thinking, like, wedding photography is like fucking boot camp for photographers. And you have to be doing so much so quickly. You're spinning a million plates. You're paying attention to the fucking room. You're listening to this. You're also watching the bride do that, or whatever. But you walk away from that you've leveled up to level 7 in 1 year of wedding photography than you would doing street photography or food photography by itself. You know what I mean? It's like extra XP. It's like double XP. That's what Tablestory is for GMing. It's double XP.
It is.
You spend 2 shows a year, but you've grown a substantial amount because you had to produce and, do all this other stuff on top of it.
It would be fun to see how that, like a sliding doors where you never ran a show, but you were still DMing and GMing the same at the same rate, maybe. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Let's do another question. Let's take another question, because we've unlocked 2 almost.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
What is this one? This one is from Nowmeister. What was the most difficult GMing or roleplay thing you've ever done, and how did you overcome it? Tough, isn't it? I know mine a little bit. I can think of. I can think.
Show or moments.
The most difficult GMing or roleplay thing you've ever done. How did you overcome it? I mean, it's up to you, isn't it? How do you interpret that question? Is how I'm going to give it to you. I have an idea of how I would answer this question. For me, it's just that I am not very in touch with my emotions, so it makes it hard for me sometimes to act emotional. Does that make sense? So, especially a few years ago, when we started this in 2016, I was quite different. Since then, I've had, like, on an emotional level, I've completely changed.
Downs.
Absolutely. Still making dick jokes and an asshole, but on an emotional level, I'm a fucking alien compared to
You've grown a lot since I first met you.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I would have to sometimes, and I still have to do this a little bit. I almost have to sometimes, if I know I have to do like an emotional scene or something, I have to get real sad I have to get real sad. Like I have to feel genuinely sad about something. I have to think about something that makes me sad. And then it's like putting my car in the right gear, and now I can do the thing that I need to do, kind of thing. For me, I think, I know it's kind of a cunty answer, but it is honestly the hardest thing I've had to do, is in order
That's
to
not
be
a cunty answer.
in order to be a better role player, which again, I feel like I would never have done if I wasn't on a show with like legitimate actors and like incredible role players. Like, I wouldn't have given a shit if this was just with my pals from school or whatever. But when you're sat on a cast with people who are absolutely smashing it, we have an Oscar thing in the channel for a reason. It's just like crazy to watch some people work, and you're like, oh my God, they're like so good. Oh, you want me to say something? I need to vanish from the planet. You must not even, I need to normalize all of you and you don't know I exist because I can't compete with this. In order to try, I've had to literally fully allow myself to connect with a legitimate emotion. I have to almost bring myself to legitimate tears. I sometimes I'll quiet, if we're in the middle of a show, I'll put on like a Max Richter song or something and fuck myself up.
Yep.
Fuck,
I will do that too. That was an example I was going to give. Sometimes I have to put music
for
on.
48 hours.
Yep.
I have to pay for that. You know, this isn't just free.
Yeah.
I have to pay for this for tomorrow and the next day. I have to go to bed and be like laying there still in that state. Because once I'm like cracked open, it's like I have to, it all slowly comes back. I don't get to just snap back into being me. And so I think a lot of the time, and when I've had to do this on several shows. I've had to do it on your shows, both of you. I've had to do it. I had to do it on ZBO. You know, I had to do it on Gone. I had to do it on Kingmakers. I have to really put myself into a place that I would never naturally do, in order to do justice to like the work that is being created and the, you know, other people's efforts. And that by far is one of the most difficult things for me to do, because I spend all day deflecting and making jokes and being, you know, shitty all the time. It's all just a defense mechanism. I know exactly what's going on with me, and I'm much more in tune with it. And you know, I'll sit there. The other day, I watched some bullshit. I almost cried at an advert the other day, a commercial that was on.
Don't even get me started. There's a whole meme in my chat about how I cry over a lamp. There was a lamp ad that IKEA put out that I cried. And the fucking ad, dude, he comes on. There's a guy that comes on in the middle of the ad and goes, "What are you doing?" It's a lamp. Like in the ad, some guy comes out and yells at you.
You're in the simulation.
Yeah.
Breaks the fourth wall. Gets you.
It still got me. I still cried.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's
lamp.
that. What I would say is interesting is that I take my own. One of the only things that I take seriously is my own GMing and DMing. I shift personality for some reason.
It's anybody's, because you take it seriously at the table for me or for Whack as well.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I guess it feels
like you are one of the few people I feel is as precious with, you know, the GM's world as the GM is.
Yeah, because I know how it feels probably.
Yeah.
But when I'm GMing something, I'm really the most, I don't know, focused and most almost serious version of me that I ever am. Because I guess because I'm highly focused on all this stuff that's going on, but I'm also just like, there's no room for me to make a dick joke, you know. You do that, you know. I'm like, I need to be this guy. This guy he's really stern. He's really angry. He hates adventurers. You know, this guy's straight up evil. This guy's funny, so now I can be kind of funny with it, but I'm still sort of doing it seriously. And I guess that's the other thing, is that I take it very seriously, weirdly. You know, I don't take a lot of stuff seriously, by the way, just to give you some context. I even if there's serious shit going down, I will still be the guy making a cracking joke. We'll be at a funeral and I'll be like, feet joke, you know. I can't help it. It's how I
look great.
Look at those. Look at those dogs in that box.
I'll be like, look at the shoes.
But like, it is one of the only times that I take stuff very seriously. I wouldn't say it's necessarily difficult. I just sort of like shift into that naturally. But I do think that getting emotional for scenes for me is one of the most difficult things. To play a legitimately serious scene, to play a really hard, really like legitimately like emotional scene is one of the hardest things for me to do, whether it be as a GM or a role player. I really struggle with that because I'm very unserious. I feel like I come across serious quite a lot of the time, and I have resting bitch face sometimes, but I'm actually very unserious all the time. I'm a fuck up of a human, really.
I don't know about that, but you are unserious.
I'm very unserious with a lot of stuff, and I probably should take stuff more seriously, is my point to say.
I need
so
to
for me,
be
I would
the
say
opposite. You'll
that's
say
my
stuff to me and I take it seriously, and you're like, I'm joking, and I'm like, oh, it's
yeah, that's on
weird.
you though.
Well, I'm just saying I'm the same as you, but
Yeah,
on the
that's
other
on you.
end.
All right.
Yeah.
Sort
Okay.
your personality out, change it all.
Serious. Taking him seriously again.
What do you think
Thank
for you
so
guys
much
though?
for the tips.
The most
Void Smoker, thank you for the $25 tip, and Riv, thank you so much for the $20 tip. Much
the
appreciated. Thank you.
the most difficult GMing or roleplay thing you've ever done, and how did you overcome it?
Do you want me to go first, PB, or do you want to go?
Yeah, go for it.
PB, I'm going to put money on the table. PB can't answer this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The most difficult roleplay thing I have ever done.
Keep going, Wack. Don't worry about us.
I try not to, but it's
Kids
always
in the back
of,
of the
mind.
car, man. You know,
Yeah.
throwing milkshake out the back window.
Milkshake.
Stop hitting me.
It's my turn on the Game Boy. Answer the question, Dad.
Most difficult roleplay thing. I'm gonna say it's probably some of the early stuff. It's probably some of the early stuff because I didn't know what I was doing yet. I didn't know what the line was with like roleplay. I didn't know, I didn't think about bleed. Like bleed didn't even register to me because I don't feel it. I don't have any bleed when I do any of this stuff. So when other people, and I think it was PB, I think you were probably the first person that you addressed bleed. You were Goobers maybe, that was talking about bleed, and I can't remember.
But I would believe if it was Goobers. I would believe that too.
You were talking about bleed. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, you guys just, you don't. I was like, you feel what the character's feeling? I don't get it. I would say probably the early stuff because I didn't know where the line was. I don't know if there's like a specific moment or anything.
What do you mean by line?
Like what? I guess like how far to push a character, or like what is safe for the group, and I don't think I ever really crossed any imaginary lines or anything early on, but I didn't know there was a line.
Yeah, you weren't even aware.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah. So you could very easily have done.
Yeah, easily. Like you could. Yeah, it could have easily
same
happened.
though. I mean, yeah, for sure.
I would say maybe like, as weird as it is to say, maybe Identity Crisis or Halcyon Unbound. Primarily because those are superhero shows, and I also wanted to make them feel like there were layers there, and it wasn't just a dumb superhero show.
Yeah. I felt that
say
as
something
a player.
like that.
You also made us feel like we were growing. I remember that too, like feeling like, oh man, I'm struggling here to keep up, and then feeling like I'm getting stronger. And I feel like that's kind of hard to do sometimes when you're in a long form campaign, is let the player actively feel and recognize that they are getting stronger, rather than just slowly all of a sudden we're level 7 and they don't really notice the difference in being strong. I think some of that too is because you had later villains right at the beginning and they kicked our ass, and then we ran into them again later and we were stronger and we could handle it. So that was a very clear moment of us going, fuck yeah,
That's the
superheroes.
That is the fun. Like this is what, and we've spoken about ID Crisis so many times because of this. That transformative. It was such a weirdly transformative show for the whole channel. But like, I mean, look at that. That it goes literally the thing I just said, where I showed up in a group of people and I was like, I showed up with a shit American accent and was just playing a meme, and the first thing I had to do was elevate that character. You know, I showed up with a troll face picture, and Whack was like, painted in oil. And I went, oh shit, what? And he's like, oil on canvas now. And I was like, but it's a troll face. I don't know how. And he was like, well, you got to do it. You got to do it. Here's an oil.
Rembrandt, let's go.
And then suddenly, yeah, I was like, oh, I have to make this character like really real and have lots of depth. And now all I think about is Poloculus in my heart every day. I hold vigils for him, my sweet boy.
I think it's either that for me or when we played the offline podcast of the Silver City, when I had to do the dummy cleric, I did like a dummy dragonborn. Playing the really stupid characters for me is a challenge because my brain naturally wants to solve problems and stuff, and I have to stop myself really hard because I have to turn off. First, you got to turn off GM brain. Second, and that's always a challenge. Anytime I'm playing, it's like don't solve this puzzle. Don't try to figure out what PB's doing. Don't try to figure out what Brad's doing. Just roll with the story. And because if I know what's gonna happen, I don't want it to affect my actions. And I'm pretty good at separating those things, but I'm usually worried about that stuff. So yeah, I think whenever I'm like with Momonga, it's like I'm playing this super stupid guy, but I'm like, okay, don't focus on the stupid. I'm like, just make him very sweet and, you know, like motherly, and focus on that. And then like if there's any problem or anything that comes up, you know, lean into the stupid. But that was that's a challenge.
We didn't think that out either. We both played really dumb characters, but actually we have so much more experience than PB with running 5e.
Yeah.
And we played these dumb characters who were like, what's going on? But we were watching PB create a dungeon and we were like, yeah, the door's over there, you idiot. Go over there. No, I didn't actually really know where. You had like secret doors and everything, which was really fun.
Yeah. I think you guys passed 2 secret doors and that was it.
Yeah.
I think.
Was that because you wanted them in there or because Foundry has that really fun lighting thing? Because I suddenly was like, oh, I want secret doors everywhere now. That
as soon as I saw, well, because the thing is with Foundry, they made it so that it can be very immersive and interactive for that player. So you can move your character around and you won't even notice that there's a door. But once the GM goes, you now have discovered that there's a door. Not only is it visible to you, but you can actually click on it and it will teleport you to another secret room. This shit's crazy. You're making a video game.
You can do all kinds of active tile trigger things. Basically, you're exactly right. Like a video game. Like if anybody played StarCraft or Warcraft back in the day, they had the game editors and you could go in and create your own maps and stuff, and you can make triggers. That was how Dota was made originally. Dota was made from Warcraft 3, and they just added triggers and shit like that. You step here, and then you open the shop, you know, like stuff like that. And you can do all that stuff. So it gives you a lot of options. But yeah, that stuff's fun. And then /RP things in general. I want to say wild RP just as a meme. But luckily I have a lot of friends that made the experience not bad. I think that's about it for me. Usually like RP wise, I don't struggle a ton with trying to wrap my head around stuff. It's usually just, okay, the 2 hardest things is like a really evil character or something along those lines, because I need to empathize in some way with my character. I need something to latch onto with a character. It could be almost anything. But if I'm playing a psychopath, I can't connect my brain to the way that they think. So that's hard for me to play.
Yeah.
that or like the super dumb characters can be tricky. I've now done it a few times and I think I'm better at it, but those are the most. I would say those are the most for me. What about you, PB?
I have to answer it now.
She's gonna say,
Matt was
imagine she also was like, it's playing super dumb characters for me as well. It was like a big deal.
I haven't played one. I don't think.
I can't play
Have
one. I
No,
simply
no,
am
I just
unable
don't
to.
think I have. Yeah. I just don't
My
think
brain is too large to even allow me to comprehend such a thing. Unfortunately. I actually struggle the other way around. I love playing dumb characters. I really fucking struggle with playing intelligent characters. Like Blake.
Most
You
difficult.
did an amazing job.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
I was
you-
studying geology for an hour before every session. I'm not kidding. I was so like, I have to get this right.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. You did it.
Yeah, you did it.
You
Yeah,
did it well.
you did it really
It
well.
counts as struggle.
Yep.
Counts
sure.
as hard.
Yeah, because it's still hard for you.
Yeah.
You know, like you're still struggling with it. I
Thank you,
think,
Leo, for the 50. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Leo. I think the most difficult GMing thing for me is to not get in my own way sometimes about players' enjoyment.
You can't
or-
answer imposter syndrome. That doesn't count. It has to be a different answer.
What do you mean?
Every GM has imposter syndrome. This is
No, but this is yeah, but so shouldn't we talk about it?
No.
Shouldn't it be a thing that we discuss? Like,
It's the wrong answer.
okay.
We need the right answer from you, actually. No, you can answer it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I want to chisel away and eke out a different answer because I know.
This moment is the most difficult moment
Yeah.
for PB.
No, it's a serious thing because I will get in my own head about, you know, oh, this player doesn't want to be here, or, you know, they've you know, I'm just not feeling like they're into it and they're not even thinking about that campaign. They have something else going on, you know, or something like that. But I am pretty good. I do have nat insight like Brad does. So I will notice stuff like that. I will notice like, oh, their energy is down or they don't seem to be into this. And, you know, I'll fucking internalize it as the game. Bitch, they fucking have a flat tire or something, you know, like talk to them or ask or whatever, you know, or ignore it and let them bring it up if they want to. But, you know, that will bleed over into things like, you know, oh, I need to do more here, or
You think
you
it's
know-
that scene, and you're like, oh, I need to change the whole campaign and never do this again.
yeah.
And then you find
and-
out like 6 months in, they're
yeah,
like, oh,
and they're
dude, it was
talking
great.
about
That day
like
was
how cool
insane.
that was, and you're
That was
like,
a
the
really
fuck?
fun thing how you did that thing, and you're like, oh, I thought you hated
Yeah.
that. And I'm like,
Or
oh,
they
no,
pick
I'm-
up on something that you haven't even thought about, where they're just like, I love that you did this for me, and you're like, I did do that, but I was so focused on other shit that I forgot that was a thing that had happened, you know. Or but for me, it'll if I'm not careful, that will snowball into, you know, me getting in my own head about like not having anything prepared for today, or, you know, the right call to make is that this character is the one that fucking dies, that, you know, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to upset this person or whatever, but narratively, you know, like I just get in my own head and it'll spiral
it
out.
can break a whole campaign
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
you begin to convince yourself that everyone hates it, that they're
Yeah.
not enjoying it, that you suck, that it's
Mhm.
just the campaign is fundamentally, you know, trash,
Yeah.
and that you should just end it. And then once you're out, you're out. This goes as a player with a character. When you
Yeah.
think your character's about to die and you start thinking of your new character, your character's already dead. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I will be there and I'm like, I want to play my new character. And then my character comes
Yeah.
back to life and I'm like, oh no, don't save him. I've already
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
halfway
yeah.
through
Like
this
I'm
new one.
Yep.
The kill it.
I'm ready to
Kill it.
play a new
Put the knife
character.
in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will do that with campaigns sometimes where I'm just like, this is dead. And I think, I'm like, everyone has hated this so much. And I'm like, man, I'm sorry that was so bad. Like, this is the best thing I've ever played in. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The reason I got like this is 6 months ago I started to truly believe you fucking hated it, you know? And they'll be like, oh, my dog died. And I'm like, oh, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake. It
Or
was nothing to
My
do with it.
cousin died. I'm convinced you thought I hated the first like month of Star Wars.
Yeah, but you sent me
because-
that message that said I fucking hate this show.
Oh yeah.
The first month.
I
of
hate
this
the show. I hate you. You're doing a terrible
This is
job.
the worst thing ever. And
Yeah.
and I'm really, really disappointed that Booster Greg's in it.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. Should have cloned Orcish.
Why isn't it 3 other Orcishes and
My other answer for the hardest, most
yes,
difficult
here we
thing
go. A
for
real
GM,
answer.
is when people cancel scheduling.
Oh,
That shit drives me fucking nuts, man.
Yeah,
And it's like things come up. I get it. Obviously, shit comes up. But then there's like, you could have told me more than 5 minutes before the fucking episode,
yeah.
you know, or
It's so rough.
or
It's so rough when it's a show.
just 24
as well.
hours, man, is all I'm asking for. And I don't think that's difficult because I have to rewrite shit. I think it's just that they don't understand how much work goes into
No
it.
one does.
Yeah.
No one does.
That's
Until
all.
you
That's
run
exactly
something.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
They just don't get it. Or even and it's unrealistic, okay? It's unrealistic expectation for everyone to, you know, maybe treat a show or someone's game like maybe you might. So for me, I block out that 2 hours. And if something else comes up, I go, sorry, I can't during this 2 hour. I'll find any of the other 9 hours throughout the day to do said thing. Am I expecting everybody else to do that? No, but it still surprises me sometimes when people are like, oh, I'm, you know, doing, you know, or I'm like getting my car fixed or whatever. And you're just like, there are 9 other hours in the day that you could go and do that thing. Like, you know, but, and then to not tell me until like an hour before the show. And I'm like, I think fuck, I gotta write a bunch of shit.
It's also harder if you're the type of GM, like me and you are more so than Whack, but you know, where if a character doesn't show up, you've fucked my whole show because I won't play your character.
Yeah.
That character, the character
I
can't
won't
just
do that either.
pop out. In Oracles, I had a thing where they would literally just teleport away on a random quest and they teleport back in because I knew it was going to happen with Oracles, so I wrote it into the thing. But predominantly on my singular narrative shows, if your character just vanished, it would be fucking horrendous. Imagine watching a normal TV show, not one that's like, not like Supernatural where like stuff like this can happen. You're just watching like a normal soap, you know, or like a normal drama. And for 1 week, for no reason, one of the characters just gets beamed up by aliens. No one mentions it. And then they beam them back 2 weeks later. You're just supposed to carry on.
I know. So you and I are like, this doesn't make fucking sense. But I was doing the watch along. And that happens very early on in Nocturne where somebody's missing. And we say, they're gone. So just imagine that they are here in the background, and every once in a while we would come in and be like, oh, we referenced this person, but I won't play as another player's character unless I'm like 100% sure that I think I know what they would want to do. And even then I'm like very vague with it because I don't have permission to do that.
Meanwhile,
as a GM, that's not my place to do that.
Whack will play your character's most important character arc fucking moment out.
No.
And then you come back to it and you're like, my character did
what?
Yeah,
no.
You're fucking crazy, man. But I mean, the thing is, that's the difference between like the either way, it is super annoying to have to do it either way. That like it is partly we're being too precious with it for sure, and
yes, 100%.
And you know,
a lot of players wouldn't give a shit.
Fucking, you know, they're in the background, they walk past, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like you can cope without it, but you and I, PB, are a little. Whack is precious in the same way, but his way of dealing with precious is like, well, your character's not here. I'm playing your most important character arc today.
Yep.
Should have fucking booked your fucking driving thing for a different day. You know, whereas you and I are like the entire campaign's ruined. You know, we catastrophize. Like, we just fucking you've nuked the whole thing.
Tell people. So like it's gotten to the point now where Deathless, I'm actively like, well, I'm going to just spoil this surprise because otherwise they don't know. They're like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's like B team. So I'm going to do this thing. And I'm like, oh, but secretly it was a huge fucking reveal for like, I'm setting up shit. You needed to be there, but I can't tell you that.
It's a
but
frustrating
I've
position
started to
to
just
be in.
be like, I'm telling you now.
But
I'm sorry.
you
Here's
do-
the spoiler.
Sometimes it feels a little bit like, why haven't I earned your trust at this point? If you've got brand new players at your table and you don't know them or
Yeah.
whatever, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you have this, we have usually we have a familiar troop. We have a
Mm-hmm.
pool of people that we tend to pull from just naturally because we know who they are and we're comfortable with them on our channel and we don't know anyone else,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are you going to
Yeah.
call Will Smith? And so so we have these like people, and it's like sometimes you can see that they still don't trust that what you're doing is important, or they don't trust that that this random throwaway episode needs to matter or whatever. And it's like, bro, everything I have ever done,
Everything matters.
everything
yeah.
I've written into this, everything in this
Uh-huh.
stupid throwaway episode that I did that was like, well, you're all fairies and you're stuck under a
Mhm.
leaf. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's a metaphor for death, you fools. The entire thing's a fucking metaphor for death. And you've ruined it with your
That's
poo
a little
jokes.
sniffing our own farts, I
Um,
think.
No,
But
it is,
yeah.
but this is what I mean. We take it too precious. We are too precious
Yeah.
with it at the same
yeah.
time. It's a little, it's never entirely, on a player like canceling. They're like, why are you taking it so seriously, bro?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
also for us three in
But
particular,
also, we have to take it that way because we're giving a gift to like 6 people at a table. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of why
we are.
we do a good job is because we do take
this
it
is also
seriously.
our baby. Tablestory is our
Yeah.
baby. We nurtured this
Yeah.
fucking thing.
Mhm.
We spoke about it on the anniversary thing where like it
Mhm.
really does feel like our child that we've grown together. We birthed
Yeah.
this thing and we're nurturing it and we're growing it and we've
Mhm.
really put a lot of care and effort into it. The same way you would with an actual child or a beloved pet or something. You bring them up and you grow attached to it. So we take it very seriously in that
Yeah.
way sometimes, and it does feel like,
do
oh
for a
man,
non-streamed game though too. I'm the same way. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
some
but
of
that's
it
just
too
being
is
respectful, isn't
knowing it is being respectful to the other GM, but also I think part of it is knowing that it's really fucking hard to get a game that it goes every single week
it's so
or
difficult to do.
even
Look at
every
Gary,
single month. And I
Look
think
at
if people
Gary.
have never
a broken man. He's had 3 games cancelled this week.
yeah.
3
I
of
just
7.
think yeah, and also not only is it hard to get a game that is regular, streamed or not, it's you don't always get that like chemistry of people and that spark and that story that you're into or the character that you love. Like, you don't get a table like that. So every single time I'm usually just like, I will fucking move everything around for these 2 hours because if I just don't show up, I'm fucking 5 other people at the table and also, more importantly, the GM and also myself because I want to be there and, yeah. So.
And disclaimer
it's
again,
just-
we're not talking about like your house is on fire or you have like,
Yeah.
you're in hospital.
Obviously
that kind
shit
of thing.
comes up. Yeah.
It's
yeah,
just
for
like
sure.
sometimes people will cancel for just like, it is insane stuff. They're like,
I'm feeling blah.
yeah, okay.
I'm more likely to be like totally get it with the I'm feeling blah than the I just booked something in this time slot without thinking about it.
Sometimes
I'm like,
feeling
what?
blah, I guess sometimes feeling blah is you're actually completely dying, but you don't want to say
Yeah.
that out loud.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I think when players are like I'm just really feeling like shit today.
They're like, I
First of
can't
all,
be
it
on a
took-
camera. I'm
I
going
can't
to
even
lose
imagine.
my mind.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how much anxiety it took them to even message me that.
Yeah.
Because like for me, my leg would be falling off, my back would be broken, and I would still be there.
Yeah.
So
I've showed
I'm
up to games
usually just like, hey man, fucking chill.
so
But
not
that's the
there
thing.
before, like just dissociated and just fucked up, just like. I remember
feel like-
showing up to Spellwind. There's an episode of Spellwind. I have no idea which one it is. I would happily tell you if I could tell. I mean, yeah.
It's multiple.
I fucking went through the divorce.
Yeah.
I had like, the week before divorce and also like 20 minutes before the session, right? So I'm already haven't slept, going crazy, breakup shit going on, losing my mind. And then I ate McDonald's and I was allergic as fuck to it. So my blood pressure started dropping. And I remember getting onto the call and just being like, and I feel like it was one of the sessions where Myth was like, that here's a puzzle. And I went, oh, thank God. I went, thank fucking God, because I just went like this at the beginning of the session as Ty there. I went, I ain't fucking doing that. And I was like, Ty stands at the back of the room, crosses his arms.
I remember
and then
that
you guys,
episode.
I don't know if it was that one, but it was something like that happened where I
Yeah.
remember just like being able to just not have to be too present for the first like hour or so.
Yeah.
And you guys did a bunch of stuff. And I know Whack was there like, you fucking son of a bitch. Get in the game. Get on the pitch. Send him off. Where's the referee? And I was there like, woo! Just not, you know, when you're just not present or whatever. But here's the thing the point I was making there is I actually fucking showed up. So Blair is not an excuse. All right.
I don't know.
I'm kidding.
In the rare instances I've had the bleh is like well before 24 hours. They usually are like, this has
That's
fucking
fine.
happened.
Yeah.
I'm in my own head.
It's usually the
I
case.
swear to God, if
20 minutes
it's
before the
24
show.
hours, I don't care. I can prep that. It's like
it's
day
fine.
of
I
shit
think
or
we should.
like an hour before, or, you know, you just don't show up. And then I'm like,
24
what
hours is easy.
happening?
An hour,
Yeah.
I'm fucked. I'm
Yeah.
fucked. The only thing you can do an hour before is either cancel or just you have to come up with
Just
some
roll.
insane reason for them to not be there or completely
Yeah.
play that character, even if that character.
That's what I
you
did.
guys-
That's what I did most recently. I was like, you know what? I'll fucking play. I'll just be.
Yeah,
I'll
you
be in
became
the
a
episode.
character. Yeah,
Yep, I'll just do it.
yeah.
Fuck it. Let's go.
I mean,
But-
yeah, you guys are obviously significantly more worried about that. Whenever I do,
The way he
whenever,
said
whenever
The way
I-
You said that like you
Yeah.
anxiety bugs.
Yeah.
whenever I am
Something you
playing
don't need to
character.
care about at all, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you are overthinking it so
Yeah.
much. We know we are,
Just
by the way. We
fucking
know we're
chill.
neurotic and insane, and that
Yep.
you should
Stop
everything we
sniffing your
just
own
said
farts, you
take with a
guys.
grain of salt because you know
Yeah.
we're aware of what we're saying.
whenever I have to play a character, I stay away from any major decisions. But like, I'm generally
Wrong.
just
Lie.
going with the flow.
Lie, disprove.
I was wondering if you
Absolute
were going
lie.
to call him on that.
Why?
I've seen you
What?
do it so many. You
What?
did it with.
Okay,
You've
come
done it with my characters.
When?
You did it in ZBO. There was a point where I was off for a week and I came back and you were like, your character has lost 2 legs. His
No,
fucking brain is
no.
inside out and your mech has been completely reformatted. And I was like, what happened? I don't remember what you did. I know you did.
God,
You made
poor
a
character.
decision where I was like, that's insane. That's an insane choice to make. Because I guess I mean I didn't care about it that much, but I remember being like, that's interesting because I would never. I wouldn't have the balls. I would be so anxious that like, because
I think
I
you
don't
have the.
know
No,
how
that's
to.
not true.
I don't
No,
know
no,
how to
that's not
be
true.
you, so I don't know how to play your fucking
That's not
character.
true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. I'm calling bullshit on that.
On what?
You absolutely would be able to play somebody's character. You have insight nat 20.
Yes.
You just don't want to make them feel like shit by making the wrong decision or doing
What
something
if I did
that
the wrong
maybe,
thing?
Yeah.
That's what I
that
mean,
maybe
yeah.
they didn't want for their character.
Yeah.
That's all
What
it
if
is.
I did something and what if I revealed something or what if I said something and they come back and they're like, well, I don't think I would have done it that way. Because here's the thing. Now you're in a split timeline.
Yeah.
Because you've hit a split timeline where this was me playing the character and now we're
Yep.
going off of decisions that were made by my understudy, Wax
Yeah.
Steven.
Yeah.
You know?
But then
and it's like
but then-
you're in this alt reality of choices.
I think it's really just a matter of player type because there are players who are like, yeah, play my character. I don't care.
Yeah.
For instance, Whack has also made major decisions for me thinking simulacrum, but he told me about it. He was like,
He probably did
This
with
is
me, by the way. I have
pretty
no idea.
intense. Are you okay with this? And I was like, yeah, man, I'm actually glad I'm not there. Do it,
Yeah.
go for it, but so there are players
Usually
that
Whack
are
is like
that.
messaging stuff like that. You
Yeah.
pro-
Yeah, yeah,
probably-
That's what usually
I was probably
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fucking, on a coach or something like that, and he's messaging me like, "I'm gonna have your character do this, right?" That's
Mhm,
what he's live. He's on the show, and I'm like, "Oh, whatever, yeah, sure." And then I come back and I'm like, "Where's my character? What is happening?"
Yeah, well,
Why- Wait, why is he
Yeah.
right wing? What is happening?
yeah. So, okay. Well, there are players who are okay with anyone playing their character or
Yeah.
whatever, but then there are players who, even if they're okay with all the decisions you made, they weren't there for that moment. And
I
so
find
now
it
they're a little
so scary.
detached from that character a little bit.
I'm so scared
Um,
of that.
Yeah, and I think that's all it is, Brad. You don't want someone to feel
Pure fear.
any
Everything is.
detachment from their character.
But there's also there's the other side too, right? Where it's like you have these. We talked about the different situations and stuff. Then there's all different kinds. There's emergencies. There's stupid reasons. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But there's the underlying fact, like, hey, this is a serious channel, and if we miss episodes, that is devastating for any show. It hurts
that's
so
true.
bad.
That's
when you
your
miss an
fear, actually,
episode.
isn't it? Yeah, you aren't.
Yeah, is missing an episode. Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many shows I've been on and GM'd where we miss an episode and it stops the momentum.
It's a death sentence.
Completely.
I mean, it's why we don't run shows over Christmas most of the time. We try if we think we can,
like a scheduled
get
break.
them finished before the Christmas break if it's possible. Like I will try and finish a show before then, if possible, because you end up taking 2 or 3 weeks off. Usually, people are traveling. There's no way you can do it. Blah, blah, blah. And it is a death sentence a lot of the time. And you're right. Yeah. It is almost worth, because that's one of the things I think that stresses us out about it.
That to me is the worst case scenario, right? In my head. So
me too.
When that's happening, I try to let the players know, like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, we can't miss an episode unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
I will avoid missing an episode. And that usually happens when it's like 2 players. When it becomes to the point where I can't make the character just kind of be in the background, that's when it's like, okay, now it's like distracting. That's a problem for me in my head. That's when it becomes, not okay. As soon as I feel like this is going to derail the episode basically because I am trying to play 3 characters or something crazy.
The solo campaign.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Solo campaign, that's the only point that I'll really have to put a stop. But
yeah, you're dead on.
Mine is like when it's multiple players down. I think when you're just kind of like, okay, we can't do a one shot with whatever, or recently with my back, I was actually good about being like, no, I can't, guys. I'm so sorry. And that may seem like a small thing, but I wanted to GM during Gone the day I got hit by a car, and Whack had to be like, I will change the passwords, bitch. Like, he had to be like, you are not doing that. But in my head, I was like, there are 9 people that depend on me, plus all the people that are in love with the show and watching it and waiting for it and like gonna rush home today to find out it's canceled. Yeah. Like, if I've got 24 hours and I can give everyone a notice and be like, guys, there will be no episode this week, I'm okay with it. I'm fine.
We've dragged ourselves to the show so much as the GM. It is because it's so important. I did it last year so many times. I'll be honest with you. There were so many Cura episodes I should not have GM'd. Like, I was like, I had to like hop myself up and just fucking, like, I was making insane choices that I paid for so bad the next day. And I did it for literally about 3 months straight. I think I took a couple episodes off because I was legitimately dying for so long. But I think all 3 of us have dragged ourselves, migraines, sickness.
Yeah. So I learned a lesson from that though recently, because I do normally drag myself to everything, either, sometimes as a player, but also, as a GM. But recently I learned, like, hey, I can't make it this week. And then next week I'm still struggling. And then I'm like, Greg, do you want to GM an episode? Because I can sit here and I can produce, but I can't lean forward and do all the stuff I can normally do. And then he fucking destroys the episode. And then Orkish does it. And it's like, that's what I meant earlier when I said one of the hardest things as a GM is kind of like getting in my own way and worrying that maybe like I don't know any other way to say this except to just say the things that I'm thinking right now. Is like, it feels like this is my job. So I need to be doing these things and always be doing these things. And I am the only one who can do these things, not because they cannot do it, but because that's my role at the table. And forgetting that, like, I'm surrounded by people who are extremely, incredibly talented, obviously, but who are excited and willing to try to do like a one shot. Like Orcish fucking destroyed that. Did both of you see that?
Yeah.
It was disgustingly
You
good.
two watch it if Orcish is a part of it.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair. The
I don't think you saw the green room though. He didn't know he was doing that until like the day of. I think he
I
like
assumed
knew
he knew.
that he was gonna like GM, but he didn't think about prepping. And he didn't prep any of that.
Yeah, bullshit. He's lying. He lied to you.
Are you sure?
Here's the thing. If
If he's
Orcish is speaking, he's lying.
then Orcish is lying.
Yeah. You two,
I am
you
gullible.
two
I will believe
have
anything.
fallen into a little bit of a routine of having other people GM your shows, and don't think I
Mhm.
haven't noticed. And I actually have a
You feeling
promise.
pressure to do it yourself.
Well, here's the thing. The side quest crew are getting so
Mm-hmm.
out of hand. I actually can't control them or deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And my rule is when I really have to put my foot down, PB is going to run their episode.
Yeah.
And if I am about to cancel the show, Whack is running an episode. And that is that.
Yeah.
When Whack
He
shows
already
up,
asked me.
Whack
He's like,
is
would
gonna-
you come in here and do this and try to kill them?
I've
And I
told
would be
them.
like, yes,
I've
yes, I
told
will.
them when Whack shows up, you guys are in trouble because I'm bringing him in to try and kill you.
I've found
Yeah.
a hard counter to Murder Hobo.
All right.
Consequences?
Tune in next week.
No.
Tune into
No.
next week's side
I've-
quest where Whack will
I
be
found a
GMing.
hard counter to Murder Hobo.
Yeah.
Utter and complete niceness and kindness.
That's not going to work on them.
You
What do you
smash
mean?
them.
What do you mean?
I
What do
mean,
you
you give like anybody they're about to murder hobo, you make
Yeah.
them like the nicest person possible, so they
Yeah.
feel like they're strangling a puppy.
I did
And it's
that.
Oh,
like-
no.
it's
I did
the
that.
You know
hard
what?
I did
counter.
that with the 2 people that they killed.
I was gonna say that, Brad.
I did-
Because
I did it with the
Recent-
girl. There was the girl
Yeah.
who was just the first person.
I forgot.
And then
Yeah.
the guy who was the nicest
Yeah.
little boy. And they
yeah,
kicked
and then
him
they
into
fucking
a boat.
300 kicked him into the fucking
I don't think it's
like,
going to work on them. We came to the
Devil's
conclusion.
Guild sends their regards. Boom! Like what?
You can
This kid's 14.
you can watch us come to the realization in real time in the green room for that episode that this crew are the Always Sunny crew. They're like
Yeah.
they're literally
Yep.
the same, and we were like, oh no.
Mhm.
And then I was
No.
like, oh shit. And then when we came to the realization, I watched all their eyes light up, and I went, oh fuck,
Mhm.
they just locked in on that.
Yeah,
I
they're
was
like,
like,
okay,
oh,
that's it. That's
shit.
the vibe. Let's do it.
All right, we got some more questions. So let's
Hold on though, Brad, you're really good at the murder hobo thing because I feel like you will do consequences, but you'll also do reactions. Most recently, I was seeing it in SideQuest when they brought that motherfucker's head back. Spoilers, sorry. And you just had a woman in the tavern react like, oh my god, just like, how did he die? And I was like, yeah, man, that's a real fucking reaction to you carrying someone's head into a
Dragging a
tavern.
head
What
in.
were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I have begun, and I've never really had to do this before, but I've begun like a legit consequences table, in which they're building up like karma. But here's the
Yeah.
thing, I was sort of talking about this the other day with someone, or maybe it was on stream or something, but they always, this is players to a T, right? We want consequences. We want it to happen.
Yeah, no, they don't.
And then when you do it to them, they go, "Oh, fucking, you know, like if they lose that ring they got this week because of some consequences or whatever, you watch them throw the biggest drop,
Yeah,
the
they don't
biggest.
want
They're gonna have
consequences.
such a shit
They
fit
want
when these
narrative
consequences
beats
hit them.
that feel good,
Yeah,
but they don't want
And
consequences.
when the
Yeah,
real
yeah, for
consequences
sure,
hit them,
for sure.
because all 4 of them have said we want consequences. We want that to happen. I just want that on record today.
Yeah.
Because these
Yeah.
consequences are coming, and when they hit it, they ain't gonna. I guarantee you,
Yeah.
they're gonna be so pissed off. They're gonna try and pretend
Okay,
to be up for it.
That's a question that I have as a GM. Do you ever not deliver on those consequences or soften those consequences because you know it's going to upset the table?
Write it
Because
down.
I will.
Write it down and submit it for next week, and we'll get
Oh, okay.
onto it.
All
We'll
right.
open up
All right.
next week with that part 2. Someone submit it.
I tried.
Because We're out. Someone submit it quick.
Thank you, Piranha, for the $25. Thank you, Anonymous, for the 100. Thank you, Orabos, for the 20. Thank you. Thank you.
Jesus.
Thank you.
And thank you, April,
trailer.
for a question here. Tips and tricks. And this is a weird one, but how to confuse the GM or trick the GM in game, not in an annoying.
I don't know why you would want to do that.
Not in an annoying or game-breaking one. And this is after watching Side Quest and Don't Die. And I wonder if this almost follows on from what we were saying before about me and Wack being in Don't Die, maybe sort of guessing. Like you were putting stuff in front of us that we knew the stat block of, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Like I don't actually have any of that data, like the HP and stuff in my brain, but I have a vague idea for a lot of monsters and just how they work and that kind of thing.
Well, with Don't
this
Die,
is
like
not the same.
it would be changed, right? Like they could vote to upgrade the CR rating on that, which is HP and I don't know, something else, right? So some of that would change.
Yeah, I do that. I remix a lot of stuff because I know that a lot of the players...
I was going to say, I learned that from you guys because you will make minor adjustments to things so that the players are surprised.
I know that players are either GMs or they're just very smart. Like Maya has like a photographic memory. If he sees the stat block for a kobold, he knows what it can do for the rest of his life. So if I put one in front of him, I can just put kobold in front of him and he just deals with it. Or I can change it. And he hates it, obviously, because he's like, this is incorrect. The data has been stated. But I think it keeps him on his toes in the way that is refreshing for a player.
Thank you so much, Anonymous, for the $100 and Bear Flame for the 30. Thank you.
There's the new show trailer. We're going to run that in a minute. The question, though, I wonder if we could get some clarification from April in the chat, because I think they're in here. How to confuse GM or trick the GM in game, not in an annoying or game breaking way. What's your initial reaction to it?
I don't know why you would want to do that. The GM is there for you. Like
they're not the adversary.
Whoa.
What?
That's us as GMs. There are a lot of GMs out there that are the adversary and do not run their
44 rules.
The 44 rules. GMs,
yeah, that's true. But I just mean like. I'm not looking for that kind of GM. I wouldn't want to be at that kind of a table personally. So, you know, my initial reaction to that is, why would you want to trick the GM? For me, it's more like I like it when players will reach out to me with a thing that they want to kind of see. Or
just being sarcastic with the question.
I thought so.
It was just a joke question. Oh, okay, cool.
I thought so.
Okay,
as well.
good.
I was just curious. Here's the thing. I went with it because I was like, I wonder if there's something here. You know?
Yeah. Well, it's a discussion worth having, right? Because a lot of GMs will do that. They actively try to beat the players every time and kill them with combat or, you know, whatever. And I think it's that win mentality.
I think as long as you have a conversation about pretty much anything that you want to do with your campaign and your players, as long as you kind of are really communicative in what you want, I think anything's fine. You know, as long as you just say like, hey, listen, I want to beat you guys. Do you want to play that kind of game? Like,
yes,
I'm going to be your adversary. As long as you say that up front, and it's more, they're going to look at it probably more as a board game. But again, there's a lot of people that want that. They're like, no, I want you to come at me and try to fucking kill my character.
Yeah.
You know,
if it's 5e, it's actually genuinely hard to do as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of reses and all different kinds of ways to bring people back and heal, etc. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as PB in that regard. I don't think I ever had that real desire to just like fuck with the GM or anything.
It would be easy to do if you were in a position like me and Wack were with PB, for example. You have a newer GM to a system that maybe you've run before. You could fuck with them completely, but I can't imagine it fosters a fun environment whatsoever.
I mean, part of the reason that I started playing tabletop role-playing games is for the social aspect, because I'm an introverted guy. So this is like, I have a time slot for when I'm going to be social. You know, it's like every week at this time. This is to make sure that I'm still being social with people. Now, is it behind a computer screen? Yeah, but that's better than nothing, you know?
Yeah.
if I'm going after somebody or if I'm trying to trick them, that kind of defeats a little bit of that purpose for me. So
Yeah.
It's also
hard
just
for me to wrap my head around.
It's so there are ways that you can do it. I think if I was to think about it, you're outnumbered as a GM. It's your one brain versus however many brains you have at the table.
Yeah.
So you're outnumbered in that way a lot of the time, which is why I quite often struggle with like puzzles and stuff as a GM, because my brain does not equate to all 5 of those players on my best day, you know.
Yeah.
And I could have 5 of our dumbest possible friends.
Mm-hmm.
I
They're
couldn't
still gonna outbrain.
easy.
Yep.
They're going to outscale me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there in front of like Maya and you two and stuff. You know? And I'm just like, so like that, you can very easily kind of gang up on a GM in that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, you know, puzzles or like they do it to me in side quest.
Yeah.
But
You are very generous
I'm
in that show.
I am. And but I'm a nice guy GM for some reason. You know, I don't know what it is. I'm a people pleaser, I guess, really, at my core. And I just want people to have a good time. And sometimes that's actually to my detriment, because I'm like, oh, I think the dragon bites your legs off. And I feel really bad. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been having literally like anxiety building up in me that I'm going to have to do this to you for about 35 minutes. And I almost didn't do it.
Dropout feeling.
And you know, and it almost goes back to that thing like shy player thing, where like they're in character and they're playing. I don't want this to happen. So you start insight checking you're insight checking the player, the character, not the player. So I will do that, and I'm guilty of that sometimes. But yeah, generally speaking, as a GM, you hold all the cards though. You hold all the cards. You can play everything as close to your chest as you want. You can spawn in a demigod. You can do, you know, generally speaking, you can completely annihilate them with ease. No problem. It takes nothing. Have some guards run in, have a god show up, have a fucking demon spawn. You know, all sorts of shit. You can control. You just have an anti-magic field kick in. Anything if you want. And that's the trade-off. I think there's more of them, but you're holding all the cards. And so that's the imbalance and the balance. So anything in there that is trickery is going to work and isn't going to work. And it depends entirely on your players and your GM and the play style. And that's it.
Like,
you know?
I think there's a comment here from Bro the Boss that I agree with. It's just better to get the GM in on all the secrets of your character. Maybe not all of them, but I really love it when a player comes to me and is like, I want to secretly be this, or I want to be doing this.
You don't tell me your secrets.
Me.
I hate you as a player. I'm completely like, you tell me all your secrets.
I don't want to know them all, because I like being surprised as a GM in the moment. You know, like I love being like, I'm fine with that.
It, though.
I do too.
I want to make sure that like that makes sense. Yeah. And that when it happens, if that revelation happens, it's fucking awesome and stuff. If you just surprise me with it and you're like, I'm a dragon. I'm like, you're not a fucking dragon, bro. What do you mean you're a dragon? It's like, I transform into one now. I'm like, no. There aren't even dragons in this setting. We're playing Cthulhu.
I think it's more like
Murgles.
feelings.
Okay.
So for me, I think, you know, when backstory stuff, or obviously like great recent example would be, you know, Greg's character in Deathless. You know, everyone thought he was one thing and he turned out to be another thing.
Dragon.
We knew early on, you know, like we were planning that shit way early.
I would have killed him. I would have killed him.
But you would have killed him? But we did it together. So he would have... No?
Oh, if he just revealed to me, I would have killed him.
Oh, no. Yeah, so something like that, obviously.
All the boys hate Greg. Everyone hates Greg.
Well, you can't even secretly reveal something like that, because that's something you would have had to do on your character sheet and stuff like that. You can't just suddenly... Anyway, for me, it's more like either feelings or like personal secrets that they're holding.
An
that aren't necessarily
fun secret that's a personal
I want to be
character
surprised
secret.
by that.
Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I don't need to know everything for sure, but
if you're like, I'm part of a secret guild that does this, that, and the other and stuff, in my campaign that's all about guilds, and I haven't written that guild in, you fucked me. That's the thing, is that you fucked me. And now I'm like, oh God, you've just made some law-breaking bullshit. And now I've
Yeah.
got to go
yeah.
with it. That I
have
can't.
no problem being like, so I'm just going to make a minor adjustment for this for lore purposes because otherwise it's broken and it doesn't make sense. And
I
you
made
gotta
a
be
major
protective
adjustment.
of the viewers. Yeah, I know.
Recently to incorporate something that I
'Cause
can't
it's-
tell
yeah.
you live.
Oh,
I can tell
great.
you later on.
Okay. Is it ruining the thing that I am working on?
No, it doesn't ruin nothing.
Okay, good.
It doesn't ruin
Okay.
anything. It's just,
Well, you know what I mean.
I had to
like,
justify
I have to
something
readjust?
absolutely mental that just doesn't make sense now.
Okay.
But it does make sense.
Did I do? Is it my
Because
fault?
no one needs to know. Do you know who
Yeah.
did it? Me.
Oh my God!
I destroyed myself, set something in motion, sent the boat down the river. The boat came back and I went, oh, fuck, it's fucked. And then I looked at who was responsible, followed the string, the wall, the yarn, all the way back. And it was me. It was me all along. I was the killer.
Spider-Man meme.
And yeah, but I'll tell you later on. I forgot. It's really absolutely nothing and it doesn't make sense. And actually,
Even if it was something, I find that shit fun.
The retcon makes it cooler sometimes because I was like, this doesn't make sense. And then I went,
Yeah.
do you know what? Actually, this is like the most unique thing now. This became the most unique element because it's so like I had to think so weirdly to justify it. But it has now become incredibly unique and weird.
That's the positive spin on that stuff. I like that too. And
it hurts me for the first bit. And then when I just let go of it, I just fucking I go, oh, fuck, it's ruined everything. And then I go, actually, if I didn't know all this, because no one ever will.
Yeah.
That's actually fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's cool as shit.
Or just recognizing that like that's kind of like what we signed up for. That's the fire to what you're working on, right? So because otherwise go write a book, right? If you just, and then when somebody comes in and adds an element where you're like, ooh, I don't think that fits. For me, it's really fun to go away and be like, well, how does that work? What do I have to change on my end to make that fit into that narrative? That happened a lot in Nocturne because there's fucking time travel. So I had to like go away and be like, okay, what does that impact? Does that change anything? And if it does, for example, the entire story of Nocturne is the way that it is because Dan misgendered a fucking NPC in episode 1. And I just went with it. I was like, okay, I didn't correct him. I just went, all right. And then he was like, and then later he was like, I think I want to have, been in love with this character. And I was like, okay, that's definitely, always meant for this NPC to die in episode 1, but did not know that they were going to be, this substantial thing. But yeah, stuff like that. Or, God, there was something else that just happened recently where I was like, holy shit, this is so good. It was that in Deathless, we had one episode ready to go. We were going to do this one. And then it was an actual last minute thing that somebody had to do. It was an actual emergency, not what we were referencing before. But it caused me to be like, oh, shit.
Fell down the stairs.
We had that plan. Well, now what do we do? And just getting out of your own way of being like, it forces you to look at the narrative and the pacing and the story and go, okay, what actually goes here next? That's better. And sometimes it's better than what you had planned for the week anyway, Like,
it does happen a lot.
It does.
That happens a lot where you're just like, you catastrophize because something has thrown a wrench in your plan for the episode, and you're free balling it for the episode. Like all your notes are basically trashed, and you're just like, I guess I'll just see what happens. And then it's like, this is the best episode we've ever done. What the fuck? Like it just happens.
That's the good stuff. That's the juice. That's the exciting part for you, the GM, I think, is when because you can get way too comfortable with your little fucking planning and your little shit. And then you have something come up and your initial reaction might be to be stressed about it and be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I just encourage you to be like, this is the exciting part. And it doesn't always happen very often where you get to go, oh, okay, let's relook at everything. And then fucking just you're wiping the table clean and going, all right, well, what comes next? If I were a viewer, that's something I ask all the time. If this were a book or a TV show, or if I was watching the show, what question do I have? Who do I want to see? I want more of Stalker's backstory. Cool. Awesome. That's what we're going to do then.
It's journey versus destination.
Yeah.
Right? It's that.
Or even just lack of control for me. Because I don't,
Yeah.
it's for me, I don't care about
I-
the destination so much as I'm like, oh fuck, I don't want to let anybody down by not having a plan. And it's like,
I've
that's
gotten.
fine.
I feel like I can easily get very comfortable with stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is my routine. I understand my routine. I can handle my routine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that does go on a lot in my mind for sure. And I definitely struggle with the journey versus the destination stuff a lot. I know Myth is like he's so good at like enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
John Sandman, like really good
Yeah.
at enjoying the journey. I generally think those people are way happier in life.
Oh,
in
yeah.
general.
No,
Just enjoy the
100%.
Do you
journey.
think
I
John
wish I could
Sandman's happier than us? What on earth gave
Always.
that away?
Yeah.
The most fulfilled, happy, just
Yes.
a
I love
ray,
him.
a human ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like, I think finding that secret to enjoying the journey is very difficult for me, for sure. But being able to recognize that PB, I think, is really cool. And you're just, being able to.
It does take effort because
Yeah,
my
I
initial
know.
reaction is to be stressed and be like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? And then I have to go, hold on, girl. This is exciting. This is the fun part, you know? Yes?
Me too. Me too. I also recognize it. That's why I'm doing side quests the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm stuck in. I know I got so stuck in. I was getting so in my own head about this being how it needs to go. Has to go like this is the law. This it mustn't change. You can't. Oh wait, that doesn't make any sense because this has to be this way, and I want to produce that in that direction, and it should be a full story about this theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my god, fucking stop it. You know, play the game part, do the fun part, relax. And I was like, I don't think I can if I do this the way I always do it. It's like being an addict. I'm just going to be in my routine. I'm going to be on my way to work, and that's when I light up my cigarette. I got to drive a different way to work. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get this. It's just a different way of driving to work. And do you know what? It was a fucking mistake because side quest is a goddamn mess.
It's a mess, but boy, you can't look away.
Wonderful.
It's great. Yeah.
I'm genuinely having so much fun, but it is a very confusing, it's stressful fun. Like I'm
exactly
so
what we
stressed.
just talked about, where
the
it would be so
whole
easy as a
time.
GM to be like, God, and frustrated with the crazy players,
I'm like-
or you could be like, they're fucking nuts.
I'm
All
just,
right, let's go.
I'm like, oh no, all the time. I'm
That's
like,
the
wait, that's
game
not what I was
this is.
expecting. You know,
Yeah,
a lot more than usual. I mean, when you're a GM, it comes where you're like, oh, I really thought they were going to do this or this or this. And they're over there. What do you mean they're on the mountain?
Orcish reasoning for doing the most insane character thing I've ever seen was, but you said all the quests could be done at level 1. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That's
That's the game, dude.
That's not the game.
That's who.
That's the
Well,
worst
I'm-
role
I-
player on the planet, is what that is. That's the self-professed best role player on the planet doing the worst role play. That's the thing you do when you've never played D&D before, and you have to teach someone what the word meta means, and you go, your character wouldn't. And it's all good. Look, we're gonna let it go, but just to let you know, so your in-game, your character actually wouldn't know that information, and so wouldn't make decisions like in world about it. It's not like God is coming down in your real life and you're
Well,
explaining
okay.
to someone who is. And again, I wouldn't give a shit
Mm-hmm.
if it hadn't been someone who said, "I'm the best role player on the planet."
Yeah. 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 But like, to be fair, in
It's his
situations
birthday
like
today, by the way. We
Yeah,
gotta
it is.
really go in
Yeah.
ham on this guy.
Oracle's Rest, our quests had stars by them. So
Mm-hmm.
realistically, in character, you could be like, "Oh, that should be an easy thing
I
for me to
considered
do."
doing it for this, but one of the
Yeah,
things I
but-
actually struggled with oracles was I would put like a 3-star thing and a 2-star thing, and you'd go and do the 3-star thing and like wipe it, and then you'd go and do the 2-star thing and struggle so bad. And I was like, it is so hard to tell what's going to be
Mm-hmm.
difficult and what's not.
Well, that's because we didn't know how many people were going to be in any session.
No, yeah, but also like the dice rolls and shit. You know, like you go in and you're like, that was the hardest fight ever, and I'm like, no, that was the worst you've ever rolled. It's different, you know. But no one cares because they're like, you're a piece of shit because you're the GM, and that means you're the one that did this to us, and you're a vindictive bastard. And you're like, I was eating cereal.
Yeah, but also it's like, I mean, it's that weird thing of like NPCs are God or have all meta information. Like, who's putting the quests on the quest board? They may have gotten it wrong. You know, how do they know what rank this quest is?
What,
They're
PB?
just guessing.
Every time they pick up a quest inside Quest from now on, I need you to message me with the justification I need, like that, when I feel bad at the end.
Okay, yeah.
And they're like, you said this and it wasn't supposed to be. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm the
No,
worst GM ever.
What are you talking about? I learned that from you.
Yeah. But
I
that's
learned
what
that
I'm saying.
NPCs can lie from you.
but I don't. My brain won't ever tell me that. I need you to tell me that at the end of every session, so that I don't feel like I'm the worst GM. It's the imposter thing that we said earlier on. Let's quick fire this last question here. It was the chat question from Gary, who honestly he showed up in my chat room earlier on, and I've never seen him so sad. He's had 3 of his 16 games cancelled this week. He cannot function, and he said, "What genre of show would consider the worst one for you to personally live in?"
I feel like we talked about this before at one point, right?
I think we have.
I think so too. Gary loves these questions. I'll tell you what, I've got another one from Gary.
I mean, we can still answer it.
No, you said no. You don't want to answer
it. It should be horror, right? It should be. Everyone should answer horror.
Well, here we go.
The worst one to live in.
No, I've got the worst one.
No, you know what? We did the
isekai?
best. It was isekai, but isekai was the best because we can level up.
The worst would
be
Warhammer.
any of them. Would be Warhammer, yeah. That's true.
Oh,
Warhammer is the worst.
40k.
Well, I thought that's a setting, not a genre. So okay, I get you.
Warhammer at this point, I mean, as much money as Games Workshop has made, I think it counts as a genre.
I think if you just both of you grab your phones real quick and then scroll to the quickest sort of news feed app, and you'll recognize that we're already in the horror genre. So
I actually picked up my phone.
Yeah, I did too, dude. I did too.
Yes. Here you go.
Like, all right.
Here's another quick fire from Gary. If you were to all do a show where the characters are bizarro type versions of yourselves, what trait do you think this opposite version of you would have? And we have to answer for each other.
Oh.
We'll go clockwise. Whack for PB, PB for me for Whack, and we'll start with.
Wait. Say this one more time.
Bizarro. You're playing a bizarro type version of yourself.
What does that mean?
So bizarro
is opposite.
It's like an opposite world version of you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What traits would opposite version of you have in that show? But Whack answers for PB.
But we're answering for each
PB
other.
Answers
Okay.
for me. I answer for Whack. We'll go that way. Right?
I mean, non-emotional, just like a dead inside
Daria
character. Yeah. I mean, PB always dreams about being like a robot.
No, because Daria is still like witty and like intelligent, because you've got to get the other traits too. It would have to be a dumb, dead inside, just uncharismatic.
Yep.
Ugly as shit.
Okay.
Is able to hold complete and total concentration.
Yeah. But tolerable. I shouldn't have done this because I'm next, right? PB, what's my character?
You're just not funny. If a bizarro opposite world, you're just not landing jokes, you're not funny, but also maybe you are a little bit, like, to answer it a little seriously, you might be a little bit more in touch with emotions, like, verbally. Like, I think you know what you're feeling, but I don't think you always let other people know what you're feeling. So in this bizarro world, you're me. The opposite, you're just,
I'll just become you, yeah. Whack is easy because the thing is with Whack is that the first thing is we would never meet him because he'd be like a surfer or something, you know, like he'd have long hair. That's the first thing that would happen is he'd have like long flowing blonde locks. He'd be on like a surfboard in like Hawaii. He'd be like a bro, let's go, bro. He'd be one of those bros.
I would.
Yeah.
He'd be like one of those bros.
Football.
He'd be so chill, dude. So chill. He wouldn't be stressed about fucking missing his parries in games. He wouldn't be stressed about like, oh, we got to make sure that this is all set up and ready, and oh, I've got to get this done by this time, and I've got all this work to do. He'd be just
Fabio Whack.
Dude,
Fabio Whack.
Surfer Whack is an alt reality version. of me, for sure.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yeah.
When
Yeah.
I went to Hawaii, that path. When I went
You
to
had
Hawaii
You
for
The
saw
my,
sliding
it.
doors.
I saw it. I was like, dude, I could do this.
Yeah,
I
I could
saw
just
it,
do
and I
this.
was
I could
just
get
like-
up every morning at
I just
6
remember
and ride
how
that morning
good I
wake.
felt when I was in Hawaii. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, just breathing feels good here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breathing feels.
I didn't know you went
good
to
here.
Hawaii. When did you go
Told
to
you
Hawaii?
so many times. I can't even
my
count.
brain is cheese.
know.
Where
I'm just
in
letting you
Hawaii did you go? Was it Big Island?
So I went North Shore,
Okay.
and Waikiki. It was my friend's wedding. I would have went to more places, but I was only there for
But he wasn't old whack.
7 or 8 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Full Fabio.
I had the same thing
Yeah.
happen to me
When
where I was just
when
like,
I had so much fun there. I went on every
Just thinking.
water slide that they had available in all the different places, and I had so much fucking fun. I loved
have
that
never
trip.
I did
That's
not
my-
encounter a water slide, but
Oh well, so I
because
went
you
to
were in
Turtle
a
Bay.
all inclusive.
Yeah, because they they rented out like a whole bunch of rooms for the wedding.
Yep.
But they had we stayed at Turtle Bay, which was was fucking ridiculous. It was very expensive too. And yeah, they had water slides like at all the different hotels, and we snuck into a few of them. And we
That's crazy.
We went to these. Yeah, it was so much fun.
The surfer whack. Fabio
Remember
Whack.
these characters, because at some point I have to run a new show on Fridays after Wax
And we
Thing.
will do that.
And you should play Fabio Whack and Sociopath PB, I guess, or whatever the fuck we're doing. Just dead inside, fully, completely unable to emote or be human. Whatever that looks like.
The QRkey version of
Just has been in a
call out
relationship.
all of our friends.
Has been in a relationship with bloody Retrosphere for.
Yeah, God.
I mean, anyone would be dead inside. I love
New show
that
trailer?
Myth and Ratch are their own bizarro versions of themselves.
Themselves.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
It's a weird situation where the twins kind of like,
Yeah.
not identical. They
Yeah.
kind of mirror each other or
It became
Yeah.
bizarro.
If one of
Sorry.
them, if one of the twins ate the other one in the womb, which one do you think it would be?
They already did eat, like they were like triplets or
Yeah.
whatever, or there was 4 of them in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
I was about to say that happened to my sister. And when she was like much, much older, she ended up having like a cyst or something like that and had to get emergency surgery, and they pulled it out and it had fucking hair and teeth in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Myth and Ratch both
so
have.
bad.
Myth and Ratch for
So
sure
Yeah.
both have
Yeah.
one of
it
those
was the
in
size of a fucking lemon, dude.
them.
Nope.
Dude, they for
Yep.
sure have one of those in them, each of them. They said that, I can't remember if I don't know how many others there were meant to be, but there was meant to be like, I think there's like there were I don't know, quintuplets or something. All right, let's show
Mm-hmm.
the trailer
Piece of shit.
for Wax upcoming show. Now, obviously, previously me and PB have run
Mhm.
non-canon and then Don't Die, which were sort of our Friday short run shows that had a sort of, an element that was like monetizable and stuff like that. We were running games in like settings and stuff. What Whack is doing is a little bit different. He is going to be learning how to surf in Hawaii, and he's going to be live streaming that entire thing. The more money you give him, the bigger waves he has to surf.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The more money, the less he's not allowed to mention his planar fasciitis, or what was it called?
That's right.
That would probably be kind of useful, maybe on a surfboard. No, isn't it flat-footed? You'd be floppy or whatever it's called. It's the skating term.
My feet are horribly flat, like pancakes.
Yeah, so is my brain. So, like a chicken. No, we have a brand new show. It is starting not this week, but the week after. So Friday the 6th, right?
So, not today. And not next
June
Friday,
6th.
but the Friday
June.
after that.
Yes.
June 6th.
Mhm.
Next week
I am very excited.
we'll be back here for more non-effort. But I'm gonna run the trailer here now for the first trailer, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first trailer. So you might have to come. I guess you have to come back next week for the second one. For Wax upcoming show, and we'll be back here next week for more non-effort. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Last words, famous last words.
Boobs.
Boobs.
You stand before this court having been found guilty of conspiring with the forces of darkness, seeking congress with the unholy, and imperiling the souls of all who dwell within Eldessa. For the crime of conspiracy to summon a demon, an affront to the Surul, a peril to the realm, and a stain upon your own soul, you are hereby condemned. As a practiced mage and experienced fighter, we judge that you are too dangerous to be held within the city dungeons. By the authority vested in me by the crown under King Edmar of El Celestia II and the Holy Church under the Radiant Path, I sentence you to exile, what remains of your life to be served at the gate. May Cyril have mercy upon you, for this court shall not. Do you have any last words before your peers this day?
Yes, I do. Do the gates have a decent tavern?